Fourth day of the week, Thursday is here, and it's still that same vibe on the AM show. My name is Benjamin Akakwa. I do this always in the company of Bernice Abubedu-Lanza. From us to you, we love you. Thank you for making the time to join us right here this Thursday morning. Well, coming up, the news in a bit, and right after that, we'll be joined by NTC's parliamentary candidate-elect for South Tong, that constituency, Maxwell Lukuto. He's our guest for the newspaper review. From there, we'll be joined by Muftau Nabila Abdullahi for sports, and then quickly segue into our big stories. Now, number one on the chopping board. Today, the world celebrates teachers. It's World Teachers Day. Now, the theme for this year is the teachers we need for the education we want. The global imperative to reverse the teacher shortage. Well, we've got a conversation on this morning. We'll be hearing from the outgoing national best teacher, Stella Jima Labi. She joins us for a conversation. But we'd also tell you the story of Herbert Echampo, head teacher of the Ahmadiyya Islamic Basic School, Subri in the Western region, who has accepted his life in rural Ghana and is making a huge impact in the school he heads, barring all the challenges. Well, we'd also hear from some of our stakeholders in the educational sector. All of that lined up for you this morning. But in terms of, well, we could say we're still staying on the educational front. The National Science and Math Quiz is in the offing. We'll be talking about it. We'll hear from our team at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and also hear from headliners Prime Time Productions. Then, we'd let you in on our Pop Chain event. Oh yes, for this year. Organizers will be joining us for breakfast to tell us about that event, Pop Chain. Look forward to it this year. As always, we'd love to hear from you, so stick and stay with us, express your thoughts via the live stream of the show, and at the tail end, give us that all-important call. Let's know what's on your mind. On that note, let's settle for the news up next. Thank you for staying. Let's get into the news now. And in our first story, Kasim Rais Belkis, who developed kidney disease, every week goes 3 times for dialysis. Now, there have been times where she's been late for school because she had to undergo that process. Her parents depend on the benevolence of family members to cough out at least 1,500 cedis weekly for her treatment. Rafiq Salam has more in our Dialysis Crisis series today.
15-year-old Kasim Rais Belkis, almost a year and a half ago, was diagnosed of kidney disease that requires her to do dialysis.
It started when my BP started rising, and I came to the hospital for a checkup. I was diagnosed with a nephrotic syndrome, kidney disease, and I was admitted here and transferred back to the Kolobu Teaching Hospital. And I came back here to start the dialysis. Just a 15th June and 11 days to 5 months today.
Since she started going to the Upper Washington Hospital for the dialysis on June 15, she has been there 38 times, and this session requires at least 450 Ghana cedis for the treatment. The amount of money involved is too colossal for a child of a single parent.
As a single mother I'm born with, she's managing. I'm proud of her, and yeah.
So a week you come here 3 times?
Yeah, sometimes 2, sometimes 3.
So the minimum money paid is 450 Ghana cedis?
Yeah, sometimes the costs take to 1,900, getting to 1,000, so we're just money.
The least amount required in a month to enable her to go for the dialysis treatment at the hospital is 5,400 Ghana cedis. Her grandmother, Amamata Ibrahim, was almost in tears, narrating the ordeal they go through to raise the money for the treatment. She has to depend on close family relations to foot the cost of the dialysis for the granddaughter.
I have been supported greatly by my family members. There are others who doesn't have such support. Our plan is even to send her to India for kidney transplant. Dialysis, you cannot afford. How do you pay for the cost of transplants outside?
Transplant He wants to afford the dialysis in about a transplant.
Amamata Ibrahim says the amount involved is staggering and should be reviewed downwards.
15 million. Every week, 15
Every
million.
week, we pay minimum 1,500 Ghana cedis. There are even times that we come for a session which is supposed to be 450 Ghana cedis, but you end up by paying 700 Ghana cedis. But we heard government says they want to increase. 450 Ghana cedis we can't pay, and you want over 700 Ghana cedis. Do you want to kill us? Ever since we started this dialysis, at least 6 persons have so far died because they cannot pay. If I want to say more, I will end up crying. I will appeal to government to include it in the list of medication for the National Health Insurance Scheme.
A view shared by her granddaughter, who wants the cost to be subsidized or made to be free.
Because no one has money. You can't even afford a 3 square meal. So how can you afford dialysis 750 or 350? Some people, they are helping them. So sometimes they can't even afford food to eat. How will they afford the 350? People can't afford the dialysis every 3 days a week. So if they just include it in their health insurance, so you can just bring your health insurance so the government can pay part of the bill and you pay part, it will be helpful to them.
Kasim Reis Belkis just finished junior high school and waiting for her results of the Basic Education Certificate Examination BCE. She recalled the challenges she went through at the school before she completed. She was a perpetual latecomer and many occasions was locked out by the school security personnel at the gate.
And I always feel guilty. Why will I be going to school late? And the watchman, he sometimes he doesn't understand. Sometimes he will lock the gates. Why will you be an exception to come to school late? But by God's grace, I was a 3rd-year student and I was able to write.
The dialysis center here has 3 machines, but only 2 are working. As a result, she has to wake up early on any of the treatment days in order to avoid the long queues here.
It's affecting us. We can't just be in line every day. We can't wake up 4 o'clock to be in line just to be first and go back home to rest. Why? We need more machines and more equipment for this dialysis.
The dialysis center of the Upper West Region Hospital was established in November 2022 through support from Asase Foundation. Medical Director of the Upper West Region Hospital, Dr. Robert Amesia, averred that the fee charge is for the maintenance of the machines.
But for a hospital, what we try to do is not to cash in on patients. The reverse side is, if your input cost is higher than your output cost, then you should just prepare for a shutdown of the center. And we know private centers that started and shut down. We know public centers that started and shut down. The machines use light. Now we are required to pay for light. The machines have to be serviced. You need money to service. The people that service the machines are not in YA, they come from Accra. Everything in life has a lifespan, including human beings. After some period of time, you die. These machines are not going to work forever.
Since the establishment of the center, over 5 dozen patients do come here for dialysis. Kurisa Daniel is the in charge here at the center.
We do have problems with them because you tell them what is due or what is right for them to do, like coming for dialysis 3 times in a week. Some of them default, and because of the default, some of them develop complications at the end of the day. Some are not even able to come twice a week. They come once a week, and once a week, those doing dialysis, they know it's just like you are not doing anything. And it won't take long, then complication will start, and the patient automatically, if nothing is done about it, she dies.
Reporting for VOA News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
Well, on our next story, the Archbishop of the Tamale Archdiocese, Philip Name, wants a national dialogue on the state of our national health insurance scheme. He says the scheme, which was supposed to be the savior for Ghanaians, especially the poor, has become a dilemma for most Ghanaians looking for reprieve from a harsh healthcare system. The Archbishop Name called for this dialogue when he joined the staff of the St. Lucie Catholic Hospital to celebrate its 15th anniversary. Martina Bugri now reports.
The St. Lucie Hospital, a Catholic hospital, was started as a mobile health outreach by the Sisters of Mary Immaculate to some communities in the Tamale metropolis, but was later converted to a polyclinic in 2008 and recently attained the status of a primary hospital. Speaking at the 15th anniversary celebration, the Archbishop of the Tamale Archdiocese, Philip Name, said the NHIS has over the years been characterized with challenges including corruption.
Wide concerns of late, among others, have been the National Health Insurance Scheme. For what was supposed to be a savior for Ghanaians, especially the less privileged, the health insurance scheme has rather become a dilemma for most Ghanaians looking for reprieve from harsh healthcare system. The system has over the years been characterized by delays in reimbursement of claims, corruption, and ineffective governance. This leads to high costs of providing quality health and critical staff leaving the shores of the country. These call for immediate stakeholders' engagement to address these emerging challenges.
The board chairman of the St. Lucie Hospital, Dr. Edward Jederi, said even though the hospital has encountered some challenges, they have continued to work hard to achieve successes.
These days, infrastructure development for hospitals, health facilities is more vertical than lateral. So with this problem that is hanging in our hands, I know we will do something. The Archbishop definitely will look at it. His lieutenants are around. We have to do a little bit of vertical development than lateral development. The chairman has intimated about the management of the hospital acknowledges the need of our clients and staff. We are working assiduously towards making St. Lucie the most preferred and attractive facility in Tamale and its environment, and we therefore appeal to our stakeholders to partner the hospital in its quest to reshape its landscape for better quality care and medical tourism as we continue the healing ministry of Christ.
The Municipal Health Director of Sanerigu, George Abraham, said the health challenges facing the northern region is largely drug abuse and accidents.
Our major health concerns in the north and in Sanerigu are drug abuse, inadequate health logistics, inadequate health infrastructure, and motor traffic accidents. This paints a very gloomy picture of the future for what? The Sanerigu district. I believe that with these numerous challenges, that is why we are all gathered here under this well-thought theme, repositioning St. Lucie Catholic Hospital to continue the health healing ministry of Christ in these challenging times.
Now, the Rotary Clubs of Accra East and Eau Claire of the United States of America have presented 50 thermal coagulators to the Cervical Cancer Prevention and Training Center of the Catholic Hospital in Bator. Now, the 50 specialized cervical precancer treatment devices would be distributed across the country. The initiative would see the beneficiary health facilities offer a safe and effective alternative to surgical procedures for cervical precancer to save lives, reduce the burden on healthcare systems, and empower women to take control of their health.
Cervical cancer is a malignant tumor of the lowermost part of the womb caused by the human papilloma virus. According to the International Cancer Organization, about 2,800 women are diagnosed with the disease every year in Ghana. About 1,700 patients die from the disease annually due to the lack of treatment facilities, equipment, and specialty. This informed a decision by the management of the Catholic Hospital in Bato to set up the Cervical Cancer Prevention and Training Center to train health professionals in diagnosing and treating the disease. Dr. Kofi Efa is the head of the center.
And these cancers and warts are not only on the cervix. For women, they can cause cancers on the vulva, of the vagina, of the cervix, of the anus, and of the oropharynx, the throat. For men, they can cause cancers of the penis, the anus, and the throat.
To intensify the fight against cervical cancer, the Rotary Club of Accra East and Eau of the United States of America presented 50 thermal coagulators to the center. The president of the Rotary Club of Accra East, Serge Ogan, indicated that it was his outfit's greatest desire to see women burdened with cervical cancer provided the best treatment to save their lives.
And Rotarians are people who are always trying to identify needs in their communities and see how they can take or organize impactful projects. 7 years ago, we were at Bato Hospital to start with them, giving them equipment that could really help them to move forward and to promote the fight against cervical cancer.
The management and trainees were elated about the presentation as it would enhance their service delivery and reduce the duration of treatment.
Together, we want to say we are so grateful to the Rotary Club for this presentation, because previously we screened the women, we get positive cases, and we don't have the necessary equipment to treat them. We end up referring them to Bato or higher facilities, and they end up not going because most of these women are coming at the down there. It is difficult for them to, get means of resource like money to travel. So we are very grateful and we are very happy because now we can screen a lot of people and we can give them treatment. So we are very, very grateful.
These devices, 50 thermal coagulators, going to nearly 50 new institutions in the country. We hope to extend the number of institutions that can offer treatment for cervical precancer. Women will not have to travel long distances to access this service. And I believe that this is going to help in a big way to prevent cervical cancer in this country.
Stakeholders have, however, advocated for a national immunization campaign to protect the citizenry against cervical cancer. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Bato.
Now, a social policy specialist at UNICEF is asking Ghanaian journalists to take charge of the national social protection policies to contribute to its successful implementation. Speaking on the sidelines of a workshop held in Kumasi, Christiana Gbedema said this would institute a collaboration between journalists and key stakeholders in the social protection space to form a network that would actively contribute by informing and sensitizing people to know that social protection is a right. Anas Abed has more.
Journalism plays a crucial role in exposing social injustices, holding governments and other powerful actors accountable and amplifying the voices of marginalized communities. While social protection programs help address the root causes of poverty and inequality, journalism can help promote social justice by highlighting the experiences and perspectives of those who are most affected by poverty and inequality. To help arm media personnel in this regard, some selected journalists across the middle zone of the country have received a 2-day capacity building workshop on issues relating to decent work and social protection. The training, according to the social policy specialist at UNICEF, Christiana Gwedema, is to, amongst other things, enable media actors to serve as advocates for social protection.
We are having this training for media colleagues because we want to launch a campaign called Rights and Social Protection this year. But when we developed the strategy for the campaign, we realized that one of the key people that can help us to amplify our voice and share what we are doing is media. And we felt that it's important that we build capacity for media in social protection and why right is important in social protection. So that is why we organize this event.
She added that the media is expected to, amongst other things, champion social protection-related issues and help beneficiaries realize that social protection is a right and not a privilege.
So as we roll out the campaign in the next 2 years, our expectation is that the media will play a key role in making sure that they educate the general public or create awareness on what social protection is, and also create awareness about the fact that social protection is the right for all Ghanaians and not a charity that somebody is doing to them. So this campaign is to ensure that both the person, the duty bearer and the right holder understand that social protection is not a favor, but it's a right for all.
To these journalists selected from the Ashanti, Bono East, Ahafo and Oti regions, what does this training mean to them?
I've been attending workshops and seminars, but to be honest, this is one of the best training that I've ever had, because what the facilitators taught us, I know that when I put it into practice, it will help me and it will help the society.
This particular workshop has been very, very good. Looking at the things we were taking through, although there were things I knew already, but I can tell you that I've built upon my capacity.
In what way do they intend to use the acquired knowledge in helping highlight the plight of social protection beneficiaries in their various communities?
What I've learned is social protection is for all. So as a journalist, I'm going out there to also educate the public, especially children and women who are vulnerable in our society as we consider them, to also insist on their right, what is due to them. They should know that it is their right to get those assets from government.
Going forward, I think there will be much emphasis on stories around social protection and how we can use our mediums to impact and empower the ordinary citizen.
These trained journalists, together with key stakeholders in the social protection space, including UNICEF, St. Ghana, World Vision, representatives from the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, amongst others, are set to launch a coalition intended to promote joint action on concerns of interests, advocacy and information management on social protection-related issues. Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Kumasi.
Well, in 2018, they caused the sun to set on the Akatechies of Opokuwari School, defeating them to qualify to the 1/8 stage. Sunrise Christian SHS is back into the national competition of the National Science and Math Quiz with 6 other private school compatriots. Well, Emmanuel Bright-Kweku has been interacting with some of the contestants who promise to cause greater upsets this year.
Sunrise. Ethanoic acid exhibits the same molar units in the vapor phase as in an aqueous phase.
False.
It's false, yes.
They forever remain one of the fondest flashbacks on the minds of students of Opokuwari School. The Santasi Cowboys in 2018 were shaken to the core after first-timer Sunrise Christian SHS sent them packing.
Congratulations to Sunrise Senior High School for winning the first contest at the 1/8 stage and qualifying for the quarter-final stage.
Over the years, the whole base school has proven their worth in the competition after toppling the likes of Holy Child School and Kumasi High School in 2021. This year's contestants could be no different as they promise a mind-blowing showdown in their upcoming contest against Konongo Dumasi and Asaman Kese.
For this competition, we are taking each competition one after the other.
And for our first competition, we are expecting you to expect from us a showdown one.
A showdown? Yeah. Hey, do you know what you're talking about?
Yeah,
a showdown. We had someone say they are going to give someone a showdown. So which showdown?
Oh, we will give everybody a mind-blowing competition.
The school, together with 6 other private schools, will be represented in this year's competition.
Charity, we work for excellence.
Having traveled all the way from the Upper West region, Louis Rutten and Region Troppen are ready to make history.
You are going to be meeting Wesley girls in your category.
Yes, sir.
How do you see that contest?
It looks tough. That's what people say, but we are very confident and we know that we'll do our best and our best will be able to sail us through.
This has been our first time. We don't have any experience in the quiz, but our performance is going to impress them.
We are meeting Bogatanga Senior High School, also from the Upper East region, and TI Amas. Okay. And how do you see that contest? Do you see it to be like much of a big match for you, or? Not actually, but because it's all of us our first time, we are just preparing. We've prepared enough, so we'll do our best and leave the rest to God. Overtaking is allowed, so we just want to overtake and get to the final stage. That is our ultimate expectation.
Located in the heart of Gumwa Fete, Hope College is entering the competition poised for action.
The time they met, it was a different set of people. There's a different set of people. So those people had their glories. These people must set their glories. So we are going to be the deciding factors. If they make it, fine. If we make it, fine. But then we can't live on past glories in situations like this.
Hey, we are not living on past. Some schools pride themselves with that. We're going to have won it 7 times. But at least some people say they are undisputed champions.
That's Presec.
But Chemu is not a match.
Chemu is a good school. It's actually a competitive one. I mean, the regional finals, they made it to get that level, so we actually give them the respect. But then we are hoping that we'll be able to match them too in strength.
St. Andrews Senior High School.
Although this may be the first national experience for many of these schools, St. Andrews College is not perturbed.
Moving forward, do you see any of the other schools here as a threat for you?
No. Going through the former stages and then, having that fear and then knowing that, even with the fear, we were able to overcome. How about without the fear? No, we don't find them as threats.
Given the glaring evidence of experience clutching trophies for past winners, time and chance only can tell the fortunes of these students. For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku.
Well, that's the competitive note on which we cap off the news this morning. But stay with us. The news review is up next. Affect your fertility as well, okay? It's early in the morning, but we all know that semen is not just sperm. It also contains all the other fluids produced by the seminal fluid, actually, produced by your prostate. How well is your prostate functioning? And if you're a woman, your fertility, it's crucial. But how much do you know about it? Many women nowadays are developing fibroids and other things that actually compromise their fertility, but they don't even know it. That's the whole point. So this morning, I'm proffering for you Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic because they are offering free screening for prostate and for fertility if you're a woman. Here's where you can locate them. Here in Accra, at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. There's also Kumasi Kronomabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrady Anaji State Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiama Nzema. If you'd like to call them, which I highly recommend you do, the numbers to call 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Well, it's just the start, though, of the news review, and I have the pleasure of getting on board to join the conversation, Maxwell Lukuto. Good morning, Max.
Good morning, Ben. How are you?
I am okay. I woke up really tired. This morning was a struggle, but I'm here. I hope you're having a maxi morning.
Yeah, I do. Let me say good morning to my people in South Town. Unfortunately, the spillage of the Bagri Dam has affected us downstream here, and it's a challenge for most of my people who are into aquaculture. let me say, down from Tademe through Sokwete Flare, all the way to Chachukobe, Agbeve, and Amutinu. Their nets have been ravaged. Those who are into aquaculture, their cages have been moved. Some as far as 3-4 kilometers have been bundled together, some containing fish. My brother Dongazi has about 150 cages destroyed, and another brother Evans at Tademe also got a number of his cages destroyed. Decon Farms, same. And so it's not been too good. Individuals also have water flowing to their homes. My student from Anausukope cannot come to Sokwe to school or even to Anausukope itself for school because the wooden bridge with the crossover has been destroyed. There are a lot of issues even at Bekpo, Sonukpo, Gonu areas. And so generally it's not been too good for my constituents. And so let me use this opportunity to commiserate with them and to say that the Chamber of Agriculture may want to come to the aid of these individuals who have lost as much as, Dongazi was telling me he's lost about as much as about 3 million Ghana cedis, and that is so huge. And the life of about 42 or 44 of his workers is still hanging in the balance. He's not too sure how he's going to get it through. Whether to go back, he's not too sure how soon they may even want to spill again. And so the money has not been too good since the weekend up to now. It's not been too good for my people down here in South Tongue. And so once again, let me say my commiseration to all the people who have lost and those whose homes the floods have entered. I wish them all the best. We pray and hope that things will normalize very soon. So, Ben, that is the situation in my constituency.
Well, and it's a really sad development. We also know that that bridge, the Doli Bridge, which recently, collapsed,
yes,
and there was some makeshift solution, has collapsed again. And it's really become, because I always felt, and I reacted this way when guy in charge of Isaac Kofi Ajay, brought it to my attention. And I just felt, wait, are we going to do it well, or is this just something to ensure that? And lo and behold, this happened. Quite a disastrous situation. Wipe, affected, over 1,500 people displaced. I don't even know what the latest is on that situation, but all of these are pretty worrying. In the Volta region as well, you see, the effect. It's really troubling, really, really troubling.
Yeah, very. And I saw the situation again yesterday where a very long trailer just got stuck or got an accident exactly on the bridge. What the MP said about some 2 days ago, nobody heeded it. And that's the situation we find ourselves. It's like government doesn't listen to anybody. They are all knowing. And everything they think and do, they think that nobody else can correct them. And yesterday, you had to find people carried to at their back, kneeling down and crawling under these vehicles to be able to cross. It's so pathetic, and it looks like there is no DC, there's no NADMO, there's no president, there's no minister of roads. They only go and tout whatever they have not done, hit their chest, walk away, and you come back to complain, nobody listens to you. And we are in the mess every day, and nobody seems to be listening to anybody. They only come and speak English, walk away, and you are left to your fate. It's unfortunate. It's so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate. NADMO is not coming to the aid of anybody. When you speak to them, they tell you they don't have anything in their stores. They can't give anything. They can't. It's just like autopilot. So they go there at the end of the month, they take their salary, and there's no work to do. And we are all left in the balance. It's so unfortunate.
Well, hopefully some assistance comes in that situation. But let's take a quick look, starting with the Daily Graphic newspaper this morning. I just want to see whether I can get... okay. So here we go. The Daily Graphic newspaper for this morning, some of the headlines, it says, hope for kidney patients. And in recent times, there's been a lot of talk about those. In fact, we have a dialysis crisis, docu that we've put together, a series that we've put together that we are highlighting as far as that situation is concerned. And we have something coming up this weekend. Local producers pledge infusions for dialysis. It's become so pathetic, that situation. And we thank God it was highlighted recently in that protest. And all of us are coming on board because, trust me, the sort of sums, even before Kolibu had spoken of that illegitimate increment, which was scrapped, it's been really difficult for people, you know, getting dialysis. And now, with all these hurdles, well, let's pray for better times and work towards that. GTEC suspends accreditation of new programs for public universities, and high attrition rate poses danger to education. 10,000 teachers relocate to the UK this year. Dr. Adaipoku says so. 10,000. Enact strong laws to combat terrorism, President tells Commonwealth parliaments. Well, I will say this. It's not just strong laws that will combat terrorism. It's also good governance, good leadership. If you lead well, some of these things will be few and far between because the people together supports the system, the democracy that we have. But if the leadership is, or the misleadership is what it is, if it is shambolic, well, you give room for some such elements. And not surprising that across the sub-region, Ghana, Nigeria, and other places, at least in Ghana, insurgency is not here, though it has been very close to us. But in Nigeria and other places, it is rife, and there's a reason all of that is happening. But let me just highlight a bit of this bit from the kidney patients, and then I'll let you reflect on these bits, including the high attrition of teachers. Today is World Teachers' Day. I don't know whether you're aware of that. And we're talking about 10,000 teachers that have, you know, relocated to the UK only this year. So local pharmaceutical manufacturers say they are willing to manufacture the infusions and fluids needed for dialysis to reduce the cost of treatment of renal failure and its complications by up to 20%. The Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association of Ghana said its members could produce to meet the local demand for medical supplies, at least for a time period. Well, any quick reflections on that? Kidney disease and dialysis, what Mr. President says, enact strong laws to combat terrorism, and the high attrition rate, which is posing a danger to education. 10,000 teachers relocate to the UK this year alone. Today is World Teachers' Day. Any quick thoughts?
Yeah, we spoke about this dialysis and renal issue last week, and today we are here again. Like I said, it looks like everybody does whatever pleases him or her. It has come to light that the management of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital did not seek clearance or approval from anybody, not from the ministry, not from parliament. They decided to unilaterally implement whatever they deem fit and necessary. And unfortunately, this is the situation we are seeing in the arbitrary increment, which has affected, I hear, about 14 patients who died. The issue of dialysis is very critical because usually you find that people are inactive. They are not, most of them have lost their businesses and their jobs. They can't go back to work. And so their finances are always challenged. And this increment has caused a lot of damage to most of them. Even the original fee of 380 was a challenge. And so when this happened, a lot of people have died. I am particularly happy about the support Mr. Eric Kutoche of Sky. Is this Sky Blue or Sky View? I think I always confuse. Has always been supporting for the past 6 years and has spent to set up a kidney transplant center in the country, one in the whole of the West Africa sub-region. And so I am so grateful to him thinking of these patients, and I pray and hope that it comes to pass. And I'm also happy that the pharmaceutical companies are thinking about doing and manufacturing these fluids and other things that will help the dialysis process. So I pray and hope that in due course, when Mr. Eric Kutoche sets up this center, and then the pharmaceuticals also are able to produce these things.
Maxwell, we're losing you a bit.
It will reduce the clarion call the insurance scheme to also absorb dialysis as part of its treatment for those who are under the National Health Insurance Scheme. If all these things are combined, they come to pass, they're going to help to a very large extent to relieve these people of the challenges they are going through every day. And so it's my prayer that this happens. And so we only have to
right.
pray and support him.
Any reflections on the other stories? Hello, Max? Maxwell, can you hear me? Okay, it appears we've lost Maxwell for a bit. We'll try to reconnect with Maxwell Lukutor, the NTC's parliamentary candidate-elect for South Tongue. Can you hear me now, Maxwell?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. What are your reflections on the teachers' bit and what Mr. President is saying?
It's a bad situation we are facing. We have had this with the nurses. It's not done with. And now we are thinking about and talking about the teachers. I remember in the early 90s, we had this similar experience where a lot of our teachers exited to Nigeria, Lagos, to go teach. And the effect we have had in Ghana has been very dire. And so now
did you say did you say 90s? Because as far as I know,
80s,
even in the 80s,
80s.
yes,
80s, yes.
in the 80s it was happening. Right.
Yes, early 80s, yes. And it's about happening again in Ghana, and I'm sure that is not the best situation we find ourselves in. Teachers are suffering. I heard your documentary yesterday, bits and pieces of it, and the teacher said that they don't need much. The only thing they needed was increment in their salary. And so once their salaries can be enhanced and increased, I'm sure that the urge to move away would not be there that much. And so, like we always say, just look a little towards their direction and then do what they wish or they want. And they'll be kept in here. Not everybody wants to travel outside. I, for one, would not want to travel outside to go and do any work for whatever amount, but there are people who want to go. Even the difference in their salary will be 500 cedis or 1,000 cedis. And so for me, it has to be looked at. The nurses issue, we are playing the hospital as if we have produced so much and we are even ready to export. The teachers have started. And so for me, let us sit again at the round table. It's not always about the licensure exam and all the challenges and the difficulties we put in their way. After all this, the salaries are not enhanced and we still have troubles with them. And so let's look at this before it becomes very terrible. For instance, to say that about 10,000 of them have sought clearance to leave the country is very alarming. And the earlier we look at
it's not that they have left. Yes, they have left already. They have left.
Yeah, so that means that in the period of a year, we have about 10,000. And so if that repeats again in the next 5 years, what are we going to get? I don't know how much we produce in a year. Of course, it's much, but that is to the detriment of our little ones. And when these things happen, it is a very experienced one who leave. And the ones from the classroom who don't have much tutelage are the ones that we leave in their hands, our children. And so when these things begin to happen, it means our systems are going down the drain. And so the earlier we look at these things, the better. If policies are not right, people begin to look for an exit. And so for me, the earlier we begin to sit again on the round table, look at our policy directions, look at the enhancement of their salaries and their conditions of service, the better it will be for all of us to keep them and to help train our little ones.
All right. Thank you for those thoughts. Let's get into some other newspapers now. The Ghanaian Times newspaper also re-echoing that. It says, teacher exodus to UK looms, 10,000 certified to work abroad. That's according to the NTC. Let me quickly get into that story. It's on page 12 of the paper. And it says, the Registrar of the National Teaching Council, Dr. Christian Adaipoku, has announced that the high attrition rate in the nation's educational sector poses a great threat towards the future of the nation's education and development. He then appealed to the government and all other stakeholders to put in place the right measures to curb the situation to avoid or avert the looming danger. The registrar stated that, for instance, early this year, a little over 16,000 teachers applied to the Department of Education in the UK for employment, and by June the 13th, 2023, 10,000 of the applicants with Ghana teacher licenses had been certified to work in the UK without any further assessment, that is qualified teacher status test, by the UK government. Dr. Adaipoku announced this when he delivered his welcome address during the first day of a two-day symposium that preceded this year's Ghana Teacher Prize, scheduled to take place on Thursday, that is today, at Takrady in the Western region. So there you have it. That's the tale of the tape. And that is where we are.
Yeah.
Teachers going in droves. Nurses going in droves. What will happen to our education? What will happen to our health? What will happen to the other professionals? I know so many other professionals who are also leaving. Pharmacists, engineers, accountants. Very soon, if we are not careful.
Journalists will follow.
Journalists will follow. Okay. All right. At the opening of CPC, let's promote citizens' interest. President charges Commonwealth parliamentarians. That story also here. So, the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has admonished members of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association to translate the principles of their charter into tangible and measurable outcomes for their citizens in order to guarantee human security. He said the legislature, which was the fulcrum of democracy, had the responsibility of representing and promoting the interest of its citizens. Quoting him, he said, "We have the onerous responsibilities as members of the Commonwealth to translate these principles into tangible and measurable outcomes to guarantee human security, and the legislature in particular, as the fulcrum of democracy, has the responsibility to represent and promote the interest of the citizenry." That is what he had to say. There's also this story. Woman commits suicide over infidelity accusation. And a 19-year-old woman who was accused of infidelity committed suicide at Asin Dompim in the Fosu municipality of the Central Region. Ms. Philippa Obeng, trader and mother of one, decided to end her life following heightened humiliation by residents who alleged she cheated on the husband who had traveled to seek a cure to his health condition. She was openly castigated and branded a prostitute by some residents of Asin Dompim for purportedly confessing to her husband, Pascal, that she had been unfaithful to him. I mean, why do people do this sometimes? Even if this turns out to be true, let's look at the example of Jesus in the Bible and the woman brought before him, who supposedly had been caught in the act, in flagrante delicto, in the very act. And you always ask yourself, so they brought the woman, what happened to the man? You know, it's so interesting. And you take it to the point where you humiliate, you stigmatize, and now she's taken her life. Her blood is on the heads of all these individuals. That's all I'll say to that. I don't know why sometimes we get so judgmental. I know, even if she did, it's wrong, but to go to the point of, you go and check, and even these people who are stigmatizing her, I mean, you look at them and wonder, are you the ones judging someone else? And look at that, she's taken her life. We have to be really careful. Over to you, Max.
Yeah, sometimes this boils down to the self-confidence of the individuals or individual involved. You, the man who is accusing the lady of the infidelity, how pure and holy you. And does it, and nobody frowns on it. A woman does it, and everybody goes haywire. I have a different view about these things, but the women should also be very confident when some of these things happen. If you know it's not true, why go kill yourself? Even if it is true, so what? It's a choice. It's unfortunate in our world, Black, Ghanaians, Africans. It's not the right thing for a woman, so they say, to go cheat on the man. But for you to have that confidence to go cheat, why won't you have the confidence to face the consequences thereof? And so for me,
So the point is, apparently, per the story, her husband had some health issues and maybe went out. But the same story claims that she had confessed to her husband. That's the claim, that she had done something like this. I mean, that takes some confidence, some effort. And if she had done that, and I don't know whether the husband had leaked that information and now people were stigmatizing her for that. I don't know, but now it's culminated in her death. And I feel this was not necessary. This was not called for. How many of these people walking about, especially even those in leadership, are not living duplicitous lives that we do not know about? Who goes about castigating them and saying that, you know, on moral grounds, they should leave their positions? How many things have we not seen? I don't want to cite specific examples because we have even seen things with some people in power today, ministers doing all kinds of things when they have wives. I don't want to mention so that we know specifically whom I'm talking about, but it's pathetic. And I just feel sad because yesterday I was making this point that indeed every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. In other words, the saint was one doing things that he or she wouldn't have wanted to do, and the sinner can get to the point where they would not do some of those things. I feel really sad about this story, honestly.
Yeah, Ben, so like I was saying, the bottom line is that she had the confidence enough to confess being involved in an act. So how come all of a sudden she broke down completely to the extent of taking her life?
Well, you probably didn't go through the stigmatization she went through. She's basically, look at what the story says. It says that she was openly castigated and branded a prostitute by some residents of Asindopim for purportedly confessing to her husband that she had been unfaithful to him. A police source and some community leaders told the GNA, that's the Ghana News Agency, that Pascal was said to be seeking treatment from acute illness in a nearby community. But, I mean, you do this to someone, people take things differently. You know, here, anyway. But this is just my thing.
And sometimes, for all you know, she's even going to do that to be able to raise maybe some funds to help support the husband, whichever way. It could be anything. But unfortunately, people will not be interested in listening to the reason why that has been done. At the end of the day, she will be chastised, and that's the end result. It's so bad, but let's develop the confidence to face some of these things. And then we should have therapy as quickly as some of these things happen. Unfortunately, the churches sometimes tend to even be worse off than the individual we find in society. They castigate you and they make you look as if you are the devil incarnate. And so let's look for a support system for society for some of these people to help them live. Just because of an incident, somebody has to take his life, her life away, and it's so bad. Let's look for a support system for some of these people.
The Daily Guide newspaper now. MPs.
Now, then to
okay, no, go ahead. Go ahead with your thoughts, Max.
Yeah, about the call of the president for Commonwealth to help and Parliament to help enact very stringent laws to avert terrorism and other things. Terrorism just doesn't happen. It is when people feel that things are decayed in your country and things are not so good. That's why sometimes they want to take advantage. Maybe people within the country would want to look for people to come and help them, or others outside who want to take advantage of the system will go look for people to come and destabilize your economy. So for me, the president saying that they should release the Nigerian president, Mahmoud Bazoum, and all those things that he's been held in custody and all this. The question is what really happens, or what are the causative factors for all these things to happen?
Hello, Max. Hello, Maxwell. Can you hear me? All right, we'll try to work the connection with Maxwell Lukutor and see whether he can reconnect with us so that we can hear the point he was making, the conclusion of that point he was making about the president's comments. But let's get into the Daily Guide newspaper now. MPs should represent citizens' interests. That's according to that story already delved into. Ken denies looting remarks. There's include dialysis on NHIS. The WHO country rep says so. Winneba level 300 student commits suicide. What is going on? Atoforsen begs for settlement in 2.37 million euro case. That's how it's been couched. Anyway, so let's get to the stories. And Ken denies looting remarks. So the Member of Parliament for Asin Central, Kennedy Ohene Ejapong, has clarified a, quote, misinterpretation after being heard in a viral video stating that the MPP was looting the country as though there were no tomorrow. The MPP flag bearer aspirant claimed in a statement released Wednesday that the words ascribed to him are a, quote, complete and unfortunate misrepresentation of sentiments he expressed at a fundraising meeting with MPP communicators in Kumasi over the weekend. According to him, he bemoaned at the occasion that the MPP communicators were letting the party down and that every government would have its fair share of corruption issues, especially in 8 years. Well, I watched that tape and I have formed my own opinion. I don't know how it can be any different from what is out there, but that is up to him to determine what he thinks he said, and we shall also deduce what we think we heard. Credible intelligence gathered indicates that the minority leader in Parliament and former Deputy Finance Minister Dr. Kasiala Forson has reached out to the Attorney General hoping to have the criminal action against him settled through a plea bargain. Information gathered by the Daily Guide indicates that Dr. Forson has, through his lawyers, written to the Attorney General seeking to settle the trial initiated against him for willfully causing financial loss of 2.37 million euros to the state. Those two stories there. And let me just wrap with the one on page 6. So, include dialysis on NHIS, WHO country rep. And the country representative of the World Health Organization, Dr. Francis Chisaka Kasolo, has urged the National Health Insurance Authority to expand its benefits package to cover critical illnesses, including kidney disease. So those are the stories there. And Black Sheriff wins Best International Flow Award. First it was Sarkodie, and now it is Black Sheriff. Ghana doing pretty well at the BETs. And again, it's another gong for us. Quick thoughts?
Yeah, Ben, so like I was saying, the president should...
We don't have much time, so I would like you to focus on the current issues, if you may.
Oh, okay, all right. Kudos to Black Sheriff for winning the BET Awards. And then they should collaborate more and make sure that they put Ghana on the international map always. That is what I would say about Black Sheriff. And I've already spoken about the dialysis issue being considered for the National Health Insurance scheme. I heard leadership of the NTC saying that that's one of the very serious things they will consider as soon as we come to government to make sure that we put the renal issue on the National Health Insurance scheme to help those going through, because the percentage of people going through this is not so much, and we can accommodate to relieve them of the troubles they are going through every day. And for us, we're looking for the welfare of our people, and anything we have to do to make sure they get it through is good for us. Yesterday we had EC had an IPAC meeting with their people, and I had Kweku yesterday night on PM Express touting their goodness, and I cringed. They didn't know what we had to go through on the ground to make sure that the numbers they got. And so I was laughing all through when I heard him saying that nobody complained again about the disenfranchising that they took people through. And so out of the 1,350, they targeted 700, and people about 900,000 over registered. And he thinks that everything was well. We have to struggle the amount of money we have to spend as stakeholders to bring these people from the villages and the communities to the city centers to register. It's nothing that anybody can just wish away. Even then, they said the machines they deployed, they didn't have staff accompanying them to come and help do the registration. The EC directors at the different districts have to go through the system to ensure that they have people that they got in to help the system. And so, for me, the EC is just not serious about this whole exercise, and that is the whole governance system we are experiencing from Akufo-Addo. It is high time they begin to sit down again, look at the system, and make sure that they make things work properly for Ghana to take us from the serious troubles that they get us through. You want to go to demonstration. Now demonstration is a daily issue. Yesterday, I heard there was another one against the GFA about the election that is to be held today. Demonstration is becoming a daily affair in Ghana. And when you see these things, it only tells you that there is a lot of misrule in the country, and the leadership of the country do not know exactly what happens in. And about Addison's comment about this demonstration, I saw it first and I didn't want to believe it. I thought it was somebody who just wrote that to ascribe to him. But to see from other portals I was true, I say, whoa, is this what Addison could say? A whole governor of the Bank of Ghana, and people are demonstrating about the way things are going, and that is what you could say. When you hear people in governance and the things that they spew out, you can just say that these people are tired and they may have to hand over now and leave governance for those serious-minded people who can take us through to come over.
All right. So just to wrap the conversation, we have to.
Nobody will carry a club.
Right.
Yeah,
Just to wrap the conversation, we have to go, Maxwell. Right. So the Chronicle newspaper, High Court throws out, unfortunately, because of the break in transmission, sometimes I cut in because the connection is not direct. So, but just the Chronicle newspaper, this story I wanted to highlight. Criminal gangs target Uber and Bolt drivers, lure them to secluded places, kill and steal their cars. That is a very troubling situation. And some of these have been happening. So criminal gangs are targeting drivers. You don't just have to be a ride-hailing service. They target you, they lure you to secluded places, and then kill you and steal your car. So please beware. Please beware. Be very cautious. I have known people who have been robbed. At least they made away with their lives, but you may not be so lucky. So stay very conscious of what is happening. And then this final story, going back to the Daily Guide. Winneba Level 300 student commits suicide. A Level 300 Information and Communication Technology student of the University of Education, Winneba, Rita Anani, has allegedly committed suicide by hanging in her hostel on Tuesday, October the 3rd, 2023. Reports indicate that the boyfriend of the deceased discovered the body. The lifeless body was discovered with a sponge hung around the neck on a ceiling fan on the South Campus hostel in the early hours of Tuesday. All these stories break my heart. In some 30 seconds, final words, and we can wrap on this. Maxwell?
Yeah, Ben, when these things happen, it only points to the fact that there is a lot of pressure in the whole of the system. People taking their lives. We are not too sure what really caused the do, but it's all pressure that is in the system that is causing us to go through this thing. The robbery of the Uber drivers. If the systems are well, who will go and take a knife and want to go and rob? I need to say Uber rider who is also doing that to earn a living. And so it's so unfortunate. Can you take somebody and he says, I'm going to my home is behind this thing, and then you go and leave it on the way? You can't do that. And so it's a terrible situation we find ourselves in. But it all points down to the fact that boys are bred. The system is so tight. Things are so hot. The little we earn, we spend on our TNT, and at the end of the day, nothing is left for you to take care. The system is so tight and so bad. Government should come to our aid and really look at these things to ease the system a little bit for people to breathe. We are able to breathe. I know you, and so they should. All the money is locked in their bedrooms and under their beds. And you go to the bank, you won't get it to borrow. Things are so tight. And I pray and hope that they loosen us a little bit.
Yeah, all right. Maxwell, we have to go. Thank you very much, Maxwell Lukuto. He is the NDC's parliamentary candidate-elect for South Tongue. He joined us for a conversation. Good day, sir. There's also, right before we go, I want to start highlighting this. I got this from some of my optometrist friends, and it's ahead of World Sight Day on the 12th day of October. But there are some plans in the works, and there are free eye screenings going on at the Oglogo Health Center tomorrow, and then on the 12th at Wejagbawe Municipal Hospital. This is in the interest of the general public, so I'm putting it out there. If you find yourself in that catchment area, many people coming up with eye issues and all of that, you can take advantage of that. Oglogo Health Center on the 6th of October 2023, and the Wejagbawe Municipal Hospital on the 12th of October, which actually is World Sight Day. I will make it a point to be announcing this in the course of the show before that day so that those in the catchment area can benefit from it. But before we go into sports, this segment brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They're offering free prostate screening, free female fertility screening. Just reach out to them at any of their branches across Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi Kronomwa here behind the Angel Educational Complex, the Stakrade Anaji State Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiama and Zima. If you'd like to reach them, the call lines are 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But I need a sip of water. It's been a long talk, and I'm going to be drinking Awake Premium Purified Water, because water is life, and Awake is treated through a strict purification process to ensure that every bottle on the market refreshes you better. They have the perfect sizes for all purposes as well. 330 ml, 500 ml, 750 ml, or if you're a heavy drinker like me, 1.5 liters. You're sorted for the whole day. Of course, you'd need a little top up. They also have 19-liter jar bottles for homes and offices, ideal for those spaces. So all you must do now is drink Awake Purified Drinking Water wherever you go. So choose a bottle of Awake Purified Drinking Water today and get quality hydration. Awake Purified Drinking Water, remember, it's one for life. For every bottle you buy, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center for those who cannot afford that very costly treatment. It's another quality product by Casapreco Company Limited. Reach them for bulk purchases on 0262 351 251. This advert is FDA approved. Up next, sports.
Good morning. It's time for sports here on the AM show. My name is Haruna Mubarak, and today is a big day in Ghana football. That's right. All eyes will be on the Football Association as they convene to determine their leaders for the next 4 years. Now, the elective congress, which comes off in Tamale, is closely monitored by FIFA officials, including Director of Member Associations for Africa, Gelson Fernandez. Now, incumbent President Keto Kreku is on the verge of securing another term, running unopposed after the disqualification of presidential aspirant George Ifriye. Now, delegates will also play a crucial role in deciding the composition of the Executive Council. Now, notable figures such as former Ghana coach Kwesi Appiah and Randy Abbey are among those who will be vying for positions. Now, to bring you more on this, my colleague Razak Musbah, who is in Tamale, following proceedings closely. Zach, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Mubarak.
Yeah, what more can you tell us on today's agenda?
Well, all is set for that elective congress happening here at the Global Dream Hotel, all the way in Tamale. And we just arrived at the venue, and I can report that pretty much all the delegates are in town, and the event is slated to start at 9 o'clock in the morning. And we're going to start with the brief remarks, which will be done by the President of the Ghana Football Association, after which the entire Congress will be handed to the election committee of the Ghana Football Association, and they will then, share with the delegates the procedure for the electoral process. This will then be followed by the election of the Ghana Football Association president, and of course we know that Keto Kreku, the incumbent president, is contesting unopposed following the disqualification of George Ifriye. So it's going to be a very simple exercise of affirming him, and that will happen first. Following that will be the election of the Executive Council members, and that's where the competition really is. Now, the Executive Council is made up of representatives from the Women's Premier League, just one person will come for the Women's Premier League, and for that contest, there is no contest at all, because Mrs. Gisi Owari-Mensah is the only one contestant for that slot. Then, the keenly contested categories will be the representatives for the Division 1 and the Ghana Premier League. Now, in the Division 1, there are 3 slots up for grabs, and about 5 people will be contesting for that 3 slots up for grabs. Now, the Vice President of the Ghana Football Association, Mark Inimado, is in there. Samuel Inimado is also part of the individuals who will be contesting for that slot. So that's one that we'll keep an eye on. And also is a category for the Premier League slot. 5 slots is up for grabs there, and we have about 8 people who are contesting for that slot on the Executive Council representing the Premier League. Now, former Black Stars coach James Kwesi Appiah is contesting for a slot in the Executive Council on the ticket of Kumasi Asante Kotoko. That's crucial. You also have Dr. Randy Abbey also in there. So it's a very keenly contested category, and all eyes probably will be on James Kwesi Appiah because of his recent appointment as the Sudanese national team coach, and questions that have been raised about potential conflict of interest in the event he gets to serve on the Executive Council while also working for the Sudanese FA. So that's one contest we'll be keeping a close eye on, whether the delegates will be wooed by his promises to vote him to work for the Ghana Football Association while also working for the Sudan FA. So That is what is going to happen today, and hopefully latest by 3 p.m. I'm sure the entire electoral process will be done. After the election is done, the swearing-in will be done for the president and the executive council members who got lucky to be elected. Then the president will give a very brief speech, and that will draw the entire event to a close. So, Mubarak, that's what I can report to you. At the moment, just final preparations have been done to get the event underway.
The election seems to be on course because of the injunction cases that we've had filed by King Faisal and George Friye.
Yeah, I mean, we know that King Faisal have filed an injunction, it's a notice of injunction, and the court has postponed that hearing about twice, and the latest postponement, we understand, is to 14th of October. 14th of October. Remember, today is 5th October. The Congress is holding today, and the hearing on whether the Congress should go ahead or not is going to come up 14th October. That's almost about 9 days after the Congress has taken place. So there are questions about it. However, what we are taking from the Ghana Football Association lawyers is that notice of injunction is not the same as injunction. So the very fact that you've given notice of injunction doesn't mean that the court has given a decision that the election should not go on. So that is the legal ground on which the election is proceeding. Now, of course, some have raised also questions that it raises potential questions of contempt of court if the Congress goes ahead. Is a risk the Ghana Football Association is taking in the event that the court finally hears the matter on 14th of October. Now, remember that George Friye's application and Alhaji Guza's application, all of it will be heard on the 14th of October. So if the court hears and, rules in favor of these two applicants, what it possibly means that everything that happened here will possibly be null and void, and the Congress will have to be held again. So it's a major risk the Ghana Football Association is taking. However, within the legal scope, it does appear the Ghana Football Association has the right to go ahead because there's been no, judicial direction that the Congress should not go ahead. So that's the basis on which the Congress is going ahead. It's a risk, like I mentioned, but we will wait to see if this risk is worth it on 14th of October.
Well, Zach, thank you very much. With the updates there, Zach will be bringing us any development at the elective Congress in our subsequent sports segments. Now, away from the elections, but still with the Ghana Football Association, because the Ghana Stakeholders Forum has presented its petition to the Chief Accountant of the Ministry of Youth and Sports, Dr. Osman Haruna, in the absence of the Sector Minister, Mustafa Yusuf. The group are unhappy with the current FA administration and wants government to intervene. Gary Al Smith has the rest of the story.
Conveners, among other things, have a lot of placards. This one says the GFA has now been turned into a scouting agency, Proton Sports. Proton Sports is an agency that belongs to the GFA president, Keto Kraku, and it's believed that this agency, he has been accused of using this agency to get players on the agency into all the national teams at the male and female level, under 17, under 20, under 23, and the Black Stars, and same for the women's team as well. We see, do you remember Amoagogo, his match fixing agent as well? Now there was a huge match fixing scandal involving Ash Gold, the club called Ash Gold and Inter Allies, and it's believed that the GFA were part of it as well. Time to speak now, you can be the next victim of Keto Kreku. So basically, this demonstration is also accusing the incumbent GFA president, Kurt Simon, Edwin Okweku, of being a dictator, of not listening to people or dissenting opinions, and they are also referencing his infamous Joy FM interview that he had with me, where he said that, nobody works with their enemies. He said to me, April 2 years ago, that nobody works with their enemies. So I count about 100 to 120, 130 people here, and they'll be taken through the principal streets of this area, Ringway, and surrounding areas to the sports ministry for what they call the Rescue the GFA demonstration as well.
Obviously, we are seeking justice, and we strongly believe that football has come to the wilderness. Things are not in order. Everything is in the state of desperados. So we strongly believe that demonstration is an avenue for you to register your displeasure. Once you're not going over, you don't have to take to the streets and be on aggression or act unlawfully. You just demonstrate for the authorities to see so that they can rectify what is not well, so that there will be an order.
Yeah, this has become necessary because a whole lot is going on in our football, and I think that this is the best time to tell the world what is happening. Most of the times we show most of the things within our circles, and Kedo Kreku has taken advantage of that situation. That's more reason why this time around we have come out to demonstrate to the people of Ghana and the world to know what is actually happening in our football.
Okay.
My official name is Nicholas Omanie Champon.
Nicholas Omanie Champon. There is a name that they used to call you.
Zafanat Pania.
Zafanat Pania.
I have many names anyway.
He has a man with many names. But Sanka, where there's Sanka in your gospel, this is not gospel. Why are you here?
Haven't you heard that Ghana is Christian country, Ghana is gospel nation? Haven't you heard of that?
We have heard.
Good. You see, the way and manner football especially is being run in this country, it's not good. Things are not going on well at all. Because look at the
Teachers Day, and the theme is the teachers we need for the education we want. Just think about it. The teachers we need for the education we want. The global imperative to reverse the teacher shortage. We want to localize this. We want to put it in our own Ghanaian context. And we've got a conversation with the National Best Teacher for 2022, Stella Jimalabi. And we'll also be telling you the story of Herbert Echampong, head teacher of the Ahmadiyya Islamic Basic School, Subri, in the Western region. He has accepted his life in rural Ghana, but he's making a huge impact in that school, and we'll be sharing his story with you. We've also got Lauren Sapong, Deputy Registrar in charge of operations at the National Teaching Council, and Reverend Isaac Owusu, who is the NAT President. We've also got Bismarck Tay, Deputy Managing Editor at the Teacher Education Journal. And let me say a warm welcome to you, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to have you here. Let me start with you, Stella, because you won an award for being innovative, for making a difference, even in a space where we know there is huge lack, there's a need for huge investment. But there's something that comes to my mind when I think about this year's theme, and that is about whether we have the teachers we need for the education we want. Do we?
Of course we do. You heard what the Minister of Education said. He said the Ghanaian teacher is very versatile. All the teacher needs is provide him or her with the resources, and he will give his or her best. And so I dare to say that the Ghanaian teacher is super. I've gone around a lot of schools. I've had interaction with a lot of people, and I've come to the realization that once the resources are provided, not just the physical resources that we see. And so from the interview, one of the teachers said, all you need is a little increment with salary. That is done. Once the intrinsic motivation, the motivation inside is also triggered, then you can get the education you want. Because the teacher is holistically sound. And when we talk about the holistic here, I'm talking about the cognitive, the affective, and the psychomotor. And so if cognitively the teacher has acquired all the knowledge, affectively the teacher is getting all the resources he or she has got at hand, and psychomotorly, then the teacher can implement and give out whatever he or she needs to give. And so we are up to the task. Teachers in Ghana are able, they are capable with or without resources. They should just be provided, and we will give them what they want.
That's fantastic. There's also the concern about brain drain, and we've seen that significantly in the health sector. But I have seen advertisements calling for teachers in Ghana, especially English teachers like yourself, to go to countries that need your services. So countries like China, countries like Russia, where they need people to come and teach English and all that. And a subset of today's focus point is reversing that trend of teacher shortage. One of the reasons why we may not be having a lot of teachers, obviously you've spoken about remuneration, which is such a disincentive for many people, because why would I want to go into a profession that won't give me the needed remuneration that I deserve? And the other has to do with, you know, the drain and other countries putting more priorities on teachers. What does it look like? You're a teacher. Do we see what we're seeing in the health sector? Is that also becoming an issue where teachers want to leave Ghana to see greener pastures elsewhere?
Of course, it's there, except that the nurses' years have been blown out, and so we get to hear of the nurses. But I know teachers who have left the country to see greener pastures. Now, the focal point is it depends on what do you want as a teacher. What do you want as a teacher? Is it just about the money you want to make, or about the impact? And so beyond the money, because I've said this before, I've seen rich men get their houses burned down. I've seen rich men lose their cars. I've seen rich men lose their businesses. And so after all is said and done, and we are following the money, of course the money will come. Money is good. I want to enjoy some. But beyond the money, what impact do you want to make? Beyond the money, where do you see yourself? And so a lot of teachers are moving. You might not know. Some have gone already. Some have even switched professions. And so there should be a discussion around the table to find out the teachers we need. The teachers we need, what do they also need? And once we are able to identify what the teachers we need also need, then we can meet them at the convergence point. Because you can bear with me that in most of the institutions, it is not only about the salary, but there are other incentives that come in to support. There are a lot of teachers in Ghana, I tell you. And if the government or the country says that they are going to push all their resources into the teacher, then other sectors will be lagging. However, there should be other discussions around the table to support the teacher we need and give the teacher we need what they also need.
Right. Let me find out from my other guests what they also make of this very important subject. And do I have Bismarck Tay, Deputy Managing Editor, the Teacher Education Journal on? All right, Mr. Tay.
I am.
Thank you so much for joining me this morning. And I love teachers because beyond what they teach in the classroom, for some of us, it was a teacher or a group of teachers who gave us the confidence, who told us that you could do it. You know, when it appeared that we were doubting ourselves. And so teachers do more than just teach you 1 + 1 or 2 + 2 or give you definitions of concepts and all that. Teachers have a huge impact, not only on the people they teach, but generations after, because what they sow in those individuals go a long way. But we know the story of the Ghanaian teacher, don't we? Recently, when there was the Julobi protest, there was a video that went viral of a girl who was literally, she had gone gaga, if I could say that, because she had lost a friend who had a kidney issue, and his father, she says, has worked as a teacher for 30 years, could not afford to keep him on dialysis or treat him. That's the story of the Ghanaian teacher. We hear of teachers who worked for decades and they earn, what, sometimes less than 3,000 Ghana cedis. And you just think about that and it makes you wonder if we really understand the impact of the teacher's job. As a teacher, what goes through your mind when you focus on today's theme about giving the teacher what the teacher needs to get the education we want?
Okay, thank you. As you rightly said, the condition of the teacher has a lot to do with the output of the teacher. And as Stella rightly said, as the world this year we are looking at the teacher we need, we also need to talk about what the teacher needs. Especially in today's world, the economic situation we have in the country now, it can't be overemphasized, the need for the conditions of the teacher to be raised. Look, it takes a lot to be trained as a teacher and to become the kind of teacher that, let's say, Stella is today. To become the kind of teacher that Stella is today, the teacher would have to spend a lot of time, a lot of resources in equipping him or herself to be in the position to offer. You can't give what you do not have. So aside the training, getting the teacher we need, it starts from training the teacher. What goes into training the teacher? And after training the teacher, how do you keep the teacher on the job? What are the incentives? What is the remuneration that you spoke about? So when, say, there isn't so much, there isn't enough to keep equipping the teacher to be in the position to keep giving to the learners, then the teacher will have to make extra efforts to do that by him or herself. Then maintaining the teacher on the job. Some teachers, where they teach, other professions wouldn't go. We have a lot of hospitals without doctors, without enough nurses, and we have a lot of schools where one teacher is handling about 4 different classes in a day because there are shortages of teachers. So such a teacher, what keeps that teacher from to keep giving in those difficult situations? Some years back, there was a policy of giving some special allowances to teachers who are teaching in remote places to encourage them to stay. That policy no longer exists. If it does, I have no knowledge of it. So we really have to look at how do we keep the teacher on the job. If you have passion, as Stella has, to teach, to impact, but then you are sick, your child is sick, your salary cannot take care of that child, cannot take care of you. You have needs. Passion alone is not enough to keep a teacher on the job. And so we can't just say the teacher's reward is in heaven. And so what the teacher is doing today, the conditions around the teacher's job should remain the same. No, it will definitely impact the delivery of the teacher in the classroom. If your child is sick, you don't have money to pay for the child's hospital bills, how can you have peace of mind to be in the class and effectively teach your learners? It is just not impossible. The teacher is a human being. So I believe I side with Stella that we can't just talk about we need teachers, we want teachers to give so much without paying attention. I believe strongly that the president will be in Sakradi today for the World Teachers Day. And as teachers, we are expecting some good news from him in terms of how to make the work more. The fact is, government cannot give the teacher all that the teacher wants.
Mr. Tay, I was just about to ask that. Aren't you tired already of the promises? Don't you want to take this beyond government? Shouldn't the teachers be pushing for policies that are sustained beyond government, beyond political parties? Because we see all this merry-go-round, even with the education sector, which greatly affects teachers as well. So there's a new curriculum that is introduced, the textbooks are not coming in, but the teacher is expected to be, innovative, be a magician. I'm not saying that it's not good for teachers to be innovative, but it's like asking someone to put up a building and not giving them enough sand or cement to do that. They can do very little. I mean, even if they want to stretch themselves, they will do better with the resources. So why aren't teachers pushing for that? Why aren't you pushing for more of a nationalistic agenda for your welfare?
I believe pushing for the nationalistic agenda, it's been there. Unfortunately, the implementation of this nationalistic agenda still goes back to leadership of the country. And so ideally, a leader's promise is supposed to be fulfilled. A leader's promise is not supposed to just maybe calm tensions and then forget about it. And so we have our unions who keep fighting. And unfortunately, we get to the point where if you really need something in this country, you have to hit the street, which really shouldn't be. Because you rightly said that the teacher's role is not only about transmission of knowledge. The teacher is a role model. The teacher is a mentor. The teacher is an encourager. So when you look at all this, this is why some countries place a huge priority on teachers. And so they look at the whole picture of what a teacher stands for in the life of a young child. And when they put this priority on the teacher and provide these conditions, the policies, it attracts now our Ghanaian teachers to go to them. And so, yes, we have one of our teachers, the leader of the teacher union, who is also going to speak to this. The teacher in the classroom, their voices, if we don't hit the street, our voices are heard through our leaders. And our leaders cannot implement national policies. It still comes back to our political leaders who have our mandate to see to our interests and then put in place the policies that safeguard the interests of teachers and then safeguard the future of education in the country. And so I don't want to go to the point where we say teachers will have to take things into our own hands and force things to happen. We respect teachers because of the role models we are. We respect due process. We've been following due process, but who knows? Who knows what will happen in the future? And so as we celebrate today, and I want to say Aiko to all the colleague teachers all over the country for the great job we are all doing despite the challenging times. We should keep doing. We'll keep doing our part. Leaders should also keep doing their part so that really the teachers we want, we can get them and then address the shortage of teachers across the country.
I'll come back to you. Let me take the thought of Reverend Isaac Owusu, who is president of the Ghana National Association of Teachers. It's great to have you here, Rev, and congratulations to yourself and all the teachers in Ghana who make education what it is. But there's a big conversation about whether the teacher we have in Ghana will give us the education we need. What is the education we need? I believe it's world-class education. It's education that fits into the current world theme of STEM, of artificial intelligence, of innovation, of all these wonderful technological advancements. When you look at the teachers you have now, currently, are they equipped with all the necessary tools and resources, capacity that a 21st century teacher should have?
Well, let me say a very good morning to you and your cherished viewers. And let me also add my voice to say a very big echo to teachers across the globe, especially teachers in Ghana. And let me admit that, yes, for teachers we have them, but the resources given to the teachers are woefully inadequate to meet the international best practices when it comes to the teaching profession. Most especially the teachers who are doing their work in the hard-to-reach or the remote areas. The resources given them are woefully inadequate. And so the teacher will have to always depend on the concept of improvisation to make use of the local materials that are readily available to the teacher to enable him or her to have a better content to give to his or her learners.
Right. So we know there are rather all these promises from government and even from some of your own associations trying to help teachers, you know, with laptops, with projects, but there always appears to be some contention. And I was just finding out from Mr. Tay whether we shouldn't go beyond the politician and have a kind of national dialogue and national agenda for the Ghanaian teacher. And that also reminds me of the licensure exam. All of these things culminate in creating the teachers we need. There are concerns about the quality of teachers we have now. Some of your colleagues in the teaching profession disagree. They don't even believe there should be a licensure exam. Once they have gone through the teacher training system and they have successfully passed. But it appears that there is a problem even with the quality of some of our teachers, is there not?
Well, I stand to agree with you that the best way to go is to have a national dialogue in terms of how the teachers in Ghana can be developed to meet the 21st century teachers that we require. But you see, also the parties decided to do away with the entrenched position. And the party here, I'm referring to the government, the parents, the public, the teacher unions, until we all believe that if we all come to the table and put in place policies devoid of any partisan politics, that is where we can have a long-term planning that can help the development of teachers in Ghana. Other than that, now everybody has taken an entrenched position, and which is not helping the development of teachers in Ghana. You see, if you are employer and you decided to do your own thing, if you are employee and you decided to do your own thing, there is no way we can come together to have a nice policy that can help develop teachers in Ghana. So for me, I think that if we will be able to do away with partisan politics and then have a national dialogue as to how we can develop and make sure that teachers in Ghana retain without necessarily living elsewhere for greener pasture, it will go a long way to help us.
So we've all spoken about a national dialogue that should happen. Before we proceed, there is a statement to commemorate the day, and I would just like to share that with all of us, then we can continue with the conversation. And this statement is from the Ministry of Education, I believe, and it will be coming up shortly. Right, it's rather from the Ghana Education Services Director General, and it's a video recording with a message. Let's watch this.
It's the International Day for the Teachers. I want to, on behalf of Ghana Education Service, extend our warmest, sincerest appreciation and gratitude to our teachers across the length and breadth of this country. Our teachers have actually proven that they would always be there for Ghana's education. Indeed, if you look at what we do at Ghana Education Service as implementers of Ghana's education policies, our teachers are playing a significant role in this enterprise. The learners across the length and breadth of this country have been receiving care, compassion, and education from these teachers in our country. Ghana's teachers, indeed, have always proven all over the world to be the best. And today, I want to lead the entire management of Ghana Education Service to salute all teachers across the country.
We don't need a single day to thank teachers for the work that they do. But it is particularly important that on this day, we appreciate the work of our teachers and we appreciate the sacrifices they make in building our nation.
The nation Ghana has assigned a critical duty to Ghana Education Service to produce individuals with the requisite skills, knowledge, competence, and the values so that they can meaningfully contribute to the national development. Management is therefore grateful to teachers for the critical role they've played in the success story of the service.
Teachers in Ghana and around the world make the world go round. They provide us with all of the preparations that we need in order to face the challenges of the future. They do that every day in our classrooms and outside of our classrooms.
This is an awesome day, a memorable day for our dear teachers of this land. You go the extra mile to turn dull students to happy, responsible children.
We teachers remember our commitment to learners. To us, teaching is not just a job, but a lifestyle. We teach to touch the future. Our commitment will forever be in the minds of our learners.
I want to take this opportunity to salute and congratulate all teachers in Ghana, especially those who recognize the need to pay particular attention to learners with special educational needs and disabilities.
Teacher is the agent of change, and GES is happy to celebrate all teachers on this special occasion. We pray to the Almighty God for His continuous support and protection for all our teachers.
I want to take this opportunity to congratulate teachers on the hard work they are doing out there, especially supporting our girls and their brothers as well. Teachers, I equal to you all.
I urge you all to continue doing what you do best so that together we can transform our country through education. Aiko.
Your hard work, dedication, and passion for teaching are truly appreciated. Thank you.
Ghana jukwinchuo ke nyechumi maune ejo nyechumi papa.
Yema teacher phone na ayiko muni ejumapa nyamisha.
Egbani ejijogbe na mi plus sukuvio ba akpena mi awe wodo.
Aiko to all our gallant teachers for all that you do for this country. Indeed, all professions can boast, but the teacher taught them all. I wish you a happy World Teachers Day.
So that's the message from Dr. Eric Nkansa, and he is the Director General of the Ghana Education Service, and his deputies and some staff at the GES, congratulating teachers and telling them why they are so important, so loved, and so appreciated. We continue our conversation on the Ghanaian teacher, putting into perspective the theme of this year's World Teachers Day. And that theme is focusing on having the teacher we need for the education that we want. And also making sure that we reverse, and that's important, you know, reverse the teacher shortage. Let me start again with you this time. You won the award, Stella, and I remember speaking to you and you shared with me how you go over and beyond what is expected of you in order to help your students or your pupils not only study hard, but also love the concept of teaching and learning. I'm just curious about how you've been able to, if you've had any opportunity to share these ideas that you have personally with some of your colleague teachers, because, you know, sometimes, well, like we say in our local parlance, wisdom does not reside in one head. So there's something that one teacher may have that the other person may not have. I'd just like for you to tell me, since you won the award, how you've been trying to spread your influence beyond your own space.
Okay. So one of my philosophies as a teacher is the holistic development of the learner and the teacher. And so we are trying to develop the learner holistically we are trying to develop the teacher holistically. I've been running a lot of sessions. I go deep into the hinterlands just to get deep connection with the teachers, because I believe that nobody can tell your story better than you. If you, the teacher, you are able to put yourself out there for others to also listen, for others to also be inspired, then it goes a long way. And so from my quarters as the National Best Teacher or the Ghana's Most Outstanding Teacher, one of my initiatives, Applaud Teacher Award, I believe that sometimes we look beyond some of the minute things that can be done to make the teacher happy or project the teacher more. And so the Applaud Teacher Award, that initiative just goes to the villages to surprise teachers. Some of the teachers are not even aware that the award is open to everybody. And so I took it personal as an advocate to let them know that the opportunity is there for all of us to enjoy. You just have to put yourself out there. Some teachers are not even on social media. Meanwhile, we talk about collaboration, we talk about innovation, and we talk about teacher projection. How are we going to project you, the teacher, if you don't project yourself? And so with the Applaud Teacher Award, where we go to the villages to inspire the teachers with citations, we also give them the idea, we also make them understand that the award is for everybody. And then another initiative of mine, which just got launched last month, was the Applaud Outstanding Teacher Summit. And so as the Outstanding Teacher of the Year, I felt that what legacy can I leave behind? Let's create a platform where we can celebrate the teacher beyond the award. Let's create a platform where we can bridge the gap between teachers and experts from other backgrounds. Let's create a platform where teachers can share their innovations. And so I've been up on that as well. And then the Women in the Classroom Conference, that I started before I won the National Best Teacher, and it's still moving on. This time we are doing regions. So this year we were out of Accra. We went to Somanya to interact with female teachers in Somanya, and it was beautiful. We also took the pain to bring in other female teachers who have excelled, who have gone beyond the classroom, and were doing amazing still in the education space. I don't have men in the classroom conference because I believe that as you empower the woman, you empower the man as well. And so I do this virtual forum to bring the teachers together. Let's discuss, what can we do? Of course, teaching is a choice, is a lifelong something. But beyond the lifelong, what do we do to make the teacher better? And so the Applaud Teacher Award is there. Women in the Classroom Conference is there. Outstanding Teacher Summit has come to stay. And then the Inspire Teacher. The Inspire Teacher is a tour. So that tour, we go around. Yesterday, for instance, I was at Aguna. In Aguna, I visited some schools. I visited Apim Enyim Basic. And when I got there, all the teachers were in school. When I got there, some teachers were in class teaching. When I got there, the welcome and the embrace I got from the teachers made me realize that there is more we can do to make the teacher better. We don't have to sit down. Some teachers are not even aware that the LinkedIn opportunity is there for them to also get there. So this is in Agona here. When I came to Takrady, I felt that the teachers should hear me. The teachers should listen to my story and be inspired to do more. And so this is what I've done, and I'm believing God that going forward, we can touch more lives, touch more teachers to also give their best.
Right. It's very inspiring what you're doing. And I know that it's a lot of investment, but because you love what you do, you go all out to do that. Rev, the Ghana National Association of Teachers has a lot on its plate already. You hear from your teachers, especially those in rural Ghana. And we'll be showing a story shortly about one teacher who's making a difference and where he is. But for you, honestly, When you look at teachers in our urban areas, and you look at teachers who have to stay in rural communities, how do you feel about that?
Well, I think the story is very sad, especially teachers who are doing their work in the rural area. You see, as I mentioned, is until we develop an intentional policy to give assurance to the teachers who are working in the rural area, we will continue to have shortages of teachers at the rural area level. So it is very, very important for us as a nation to develop what we call intentional policy to protect and retain the teachers who plow their work at the rural areas. If you look at those working on the highland community, nobody will tell you that these teachers deserve more than what they are receiving now. So I believe that it isn't just occasion that we are celebrating, that we will be talking, and then after 5th October, we'll go and sleep. If we want to reverse the teacher shortages, the issue is not about teachers in the urban areas or the towns and cities. Where we have shortages, it is the remote areas where a teacher is handling about class 1 to GHS 3. You get 2 teachers handling the whole basic school in some of these rural areas. So until we have a deliberate policy to motivate and encourage it, since 2009, that in the collective agreement, the employer and the employees through their unions agree that every teacher who accepts working to these rural areas will be given 20% of their gross salary. Manchester, from 2009 till date, we've not been able to honor this 9th agreement. So certainly no teacher will be willing to go to such areas where there are no social amenities.
Rev, are you on?
Yes, I'm on.
All right. And I'll be bringing in Mr. Lawrence Sapong shortly, but there's just another thing that I find quite worrying in my conversations with teachers, and that has to do with rest. That has to do with the burden and the load of work that they have. And that's obviously due to the numbers. We don't have enough teachers, especially in these rural areas where people don't want to go to, and there's so much stress. Quite recently, we've seen a disruption in the regular school calendar that we are used to. Teachers go on break, or schools go on break, sometimes 2 weeks, and they come back, especially during the summertime where you're expecting a longer vacation. What is happening? What is happening? Teachers complained during the gold and the green track system. They were tired emotionally, physically. Why aren't we focusing on those aspects as well of the teachers' well-being?
Yes, I think for the academic calendar, all the parties are aware of the challenges confronting the teachers as well as their students, most especially those at the secondary and technical level. You see, with the advent of the COVID-19 in 2020, it distorted the academic calendar for the entire level. But now, thankfully, now that the COVID-19 is a bit down, the basic school we've been able to manage. And with this particular academic year, we have reversed back to the previous academic calendar, where the academic year will end in July, August. Then the new academic year will start in September. But then that of the secondary school, we are still engaging the employer, that is the GES, because the promise the challenge has come due to the double track system. And the government promised that at least within 7 years, after the introduction of the free SHS, they would do everything possible to raise a lot of infrastructure to curb the challenge of this double track. And so today we are also going to remind the government of their promise, because teachers cannot be working throughout the whole year with little or no rest. The adverse effect on the teachers is not easy. So everything that all stakeholders will do to make sure that the secondary school also reverts to its normal academic year, where at least the academic year will end in July, August, at least for the teachers to have enough rest to start the new academic year. I think it will be better for all of us.
Right. Let me bring in Lawrence Sapong now. He is Deputy Registrar in charge of operations at the National Teaching Council. Thank you so much for joining me, Mr. Sapong. Trust you're doing well today. Can you kindly unmute your device? It's impossible to hear you, sir. Right, if you can hear me, congratulations. We are celebrating teachers today. You are the Deputy Registrar in charge of operations at the National Teaching Council. We've been talking about teachers in Ghana, talking about all the issues, about the quality of training that is even given the teachers. I mean, those issues came up with the licensure failures, and there's a lot of concern about the quality of teachers. You know, as they say, you're as good as the one who teaches you. And we've also been talking about the lack of teachers, especially in rural Ghana, the conditions that teachers have to teach in, very disheartening sometimes. And we've done a lot of stories, a lot of them, uncountable stories, about even teachers having to cross streams and rivers, the dangers they go through. In other countries, actually, such teachers will be paid more because of the risk involved in the work that they do. But we don't see that here in Ghana. And it appears that increasingly, fewer people are getting interested in the profession. What can we do to remedy this?
Thank you very much. If you look at the changes that we have put in place within the last 12 months, we've come out with what is called Comprehensive National Teacher Policy, which was even showcased last 2 days. There's a dimension in it that addresses teachers' condition of service and well-being. When that document is fully enforced, the condition of teachers in the deprived or no-going areas will be improved, because there are a lot of packages in that document which are tabled before the employers of teachers and the ministry to see how best they can also support teachers who are willing to go to those deprived areas. Even before that, within our effort at the National Teaching Council, what we have done is that teachers who go to such areas are given extra package when it comes to CPD credit points. Those in the cities or those in the places where everybody wants to go are to fund their CPD program from their CPD allowance. But 10% of such payments have been subsidized for teachers who go to deprived areas as a way of motivating them to also accept going to those areas. And even with the Ghana Teacher Prize, we are also much interested in identifying teachers who go to the deprived areas, the effort that they are putting there, to also recognize them during this teacher award system. So within the National Teaching Council's power, what we can do is what I've mentioned.
Right.
But it will take the employers and then the teacher union to also look at their collective bargaining agreement document to ensure that such recommendations have been enforced to also better the lives of the teachers who go to such areas. Thank you very much.
And this comprehensive plan you talk about, which authority or agency is responsible for implementing it when it's finally done and dusted?
Yeah, you know, we have different education institutions in the country.
Right.
And each institution has a role to play in implementation of the document.
Okay.
So NTC have a role, the Ghana Education Service has a role, Ghana TV Service has a role, NASIA, NACA, every agency, even the tertiary education level, they all have a role to play to better the life of a teacher. And it has been spelled out in the comprehensive national teacher policy. Thank you.
Right. So I'm asking this because we want to know who to hold responsible when we're asking the question. So thank you for that clarification. And for the National Teaching Council, really, what is the appreciation of the time we really have realistically to make things better for the Ghanaian teacher? I mean, there are people who tell me teachers have been working for 2 decades and over, and they earn 3,000 cedis. In today's Ghana, that is almost close to nothing if you consider the responsibilities, and even sometimes these teachers have to pick monies from their own pockets and, you know, get teaching aid and all these kind of things. Realistically, how long will it take us to change the narrative and reverse the trend?
Thank you very much. As I mentioned, when it comes to the employment or employee-employer relationship, the NTC doesn't come in there. The welfare of the teacher, the remuneration, the salaries and other things, is the responsibility of the employer of the teachers, which have been the teacher unions who are also fighting for the welfare of the teachers. What the National Teaching Council does is to ensure that teachers are well equipped.
But that's also a challenge, isn't it? Because we know the teachers aren't well equipped. I mean, that's the truth. Let's even talk about textbooks. Quite recently, we had to go back to the minister. The Parliamentary Select Committee had to visit schools, try to figure out what the situation on the ground is. So yes, I'm speaking specifically to the NTC's role in all of this, equipping the teacher, making sure that the teacher has the capacity, the resources to do the job that they have to do. For you, how long do you think it would take us to change the narrative in that aspect?
Master, the evidence is already there for you to know that the narrative is changing. For instance, between February and June 13th, the UK government even certified 10,345 teachers in Ghana who they think that they meet international standards. And that alone to tell that our teachers have been well prepared to compete with their fellows at the international level. In 2018, Ghana was able to produce one of the world's top best 50 teachers. Coming down to 2020, Ghana was able to produce Africa Best Teacher. And 2021, we produced another Africa Best Teacher. And last year, we had one of the Ghanaian teachers coming among the world's top five best teachers. So that is to tell that things are changing, the narrative is changing. So in terms of capacity, build the capacity of the teachers, the council has done a lot through the development of the national teacher standards. But I think your concern, or what is concerned to all of us, is how the teacher welfare will be taken care of. And that's where I say that we have developed a comprehensive national teacher policy, which has earmarked a dimension to facilitate how to support the teacher, to also have a sound mind in order to deliver effectively in the classroom. And that has been enshrined in the comprehensive document, which is also a feature of that of the collective bargaining agreement document. So the unions are now sitting with the employers to see how they can make full implementation of this dimension. And things are in place. We are engaging teachers day in and day out. You know that before 2020, there was something called professional allowance for teachers. We have instituted that where teachers are also given allowance in order to do their research and also to build their capacity. So the story is changing, and it doesn't take a day It's a step-by-step approach. We are almost there. Thank you very much.
Right. Can you give us an update of the continuous professional development framework for teachers? That's very important, because when I was in university, for example, there were a particular lecturer whose notes he was giving me were the same notes that he gave to people who had done the same course 5 or 6 or 7 years. Clearly, he had not updated himself, upgraded, nothing. It was just the same old thing. But we know that knowledge is organic. It's like an organism. It grows, it expands. Sometimes it changes, even in the world of science, right? They tell you, oh, our research and our data is pointing to something else. There could have been a misinterpretation elsewhere. So knowledge is like that. It's dynamic. And that's why it's important, this continuous professional development framework. But just give us a quick update on that one as well.
Thank you very much. In this era of lifelong learning, it's expected that every teacher will update and upgrade the competencies in order to function effectively. Just as you mentioned, as a growing child, I came to realize that atom is indivisible. Atom cannot be divided. I also came to learn that we have 9 planets. But becoming a science teacher, there are documents that are now showing that atom can be divided. There are documents that are showing that Pluto is no more planet. So as even my class teacher is still using his old notes to teach, that teacher will definitely pollute the learners. That is why we have come out with a professional framework, a framework that specifies areas that teachers need to undertake a study to upgrade themselves. But when we brought the framework, we also said that let's design a motivating factor that will help the teachers to go through the CPD program. So we came out with what we call CPD point building system. So as when you go for the CPD, a transcript is generated showing the courses that you attend and the points that comes with. So that in the near future, even when you want to go to university to pursue a course, they can use your CPD transcript to give you what is called micro credentials. But teachers were complaining that the point-based term looked cumbersome. So within the last 6 months, we've been engaging with the unions and we have revised it. So as it is now, every teacher will be having professional development in their school, which is called PLC, and that attracts 2 points. They will also have National CPD Day program, which will also attract 6 points. In addition to that, we have recommended CPD training. When a supervisor comes with the teacher and identify a gap or area that need improvement, they will make a recommendation for the teacher to assess CPD that will help the teacher to build themselves. We also work with development partners to also provide customized CPD program that will still help teachers to build their capacity. You know, on a whole, a teacher needs 20 CPD points to justify that that teacher is having a good professional standing. And this professional standing has been recognized internationally. So I have about 4 teachers who applied to pursue master's degree in UK and in the United States. And they were requested to produce their professional development transcript, which is currently available on the teacher's profile. So that's a short view that I can give about the professional development framework, which is in place. And I can tell you, Uganda, Zambia, Namibia, and South Africa have all come to Ghana to study this transportation, and they also implemented it in their country. That put Ghana at that level where other countries are now emulating what we are doing. And I think it's a good way to go. We're encouraging the teachers to all support us to achieve this course. Thank you very much.
Thank you too. That's Lauren Sapong, Deputy Registrar in charge of operations at the National Teaching Council. But it's now time to hear more from the Council. You heard the Registrar of the National Teaching Council, and we're wrapping up our conversation as we celebrate Teachers Today. And we've been talking to teachers who do not only have the role to teach, but also have capacities to make decisions that impact other teachers. Reverend Isaac Owusu-Nat, President, you also heard just from the Registrar and other persons within the education space. Let me just wrap up the conversation with Bismarck Che and Stella. Stella, I mean, You have told us about the projects you've been embarking on since you won the National Best Teacher. But I'd just like to find out from you, and there's a question I posed earlier, but I also want to find out from you. With the progress that we're making, how long do you think it will take us to get to make the needed impact, to get teachers, and I mean all across the country, I'm not only talking about in urban spaces like Accra and Kumasi, all across the country, to have the necessary logistics, to have the necessary capacity, because we all know that education is a key way to national transformation. So how soon do you think we can do that with the strides we're making so far? Hello, Stella, can you hear me? All right, too bad. But if Bismarck is on, Bismarck, you can answer that question for me while we wrap up the conversation.
With a lot of commitment on those who are supposed to enforce, say, the comprehensive teacher policy that Mr. Sapon talked about, with commitment on all sides, I believe if we make it a priority, within 5 years we should make great progress. And I'm serious about commitment, not that there is just a policy and we leave it to chance.
That has always been the story, isn't it?
Yes. 5th October, then we come back to talk about it, another 5th October, but a commitment where everybody, every stakeholder, every institution mentioned in the policy takes their job seriously. I believe in 5 years we can get the teachers to be giving us what we want, whilst we are also providing them what they need to give us what we want.
You are with the Teacher Education Journal, and I'm asking this because of the pushback we saw with the policy even to give teachers laptops to aid in their education. Has this been consultative enough?
It hasn't. I wouldn't say it has. It hasn't. And that is one of the challenges. Sometimes the Ghanaian teacher is just surprised by some policies. You will say that the government institutions, our leaders would say the teacher union, heads of the teacher union, are supposed to represent the teachers in discussions on policies. But the thing is, even our unions have questions to answer as to how consultative they have been, and then as well as government and the employer. So, say even the issue about textbooks, where teachers were not provided with textbooks. Okay, in the interim, what should be done? The academic calendar needs to be restructured to come back. What was the input of the teacher in the classroom? You see, sometimes what is happening on the ground is different from the knowledge we have of what is happening from the office. So you can be in the office and think that this is how things are going, but on the ground it's different. So consultation is key, where our policymakers should go down to the teacher in the classroom and find out what is there that you need. And then the teacher brings this up, then that informs good decisions. But without it, just like the laptop issue, there are some teachers who are still yet to get their laptop as we speak today.
That's problematic, but we hope the story will change. Thank you so much, Bismarck Tay, for joining me this morning, and congratulations once again. I hope that there's a special feature in the next Teacher Education Journal for teachers who are doing wonderful things to encourage others, even as we celebrate you today. That was Bismarck Tay, Deputy Managing Editor at the Teacher Education Journal. Well, while we talk about teachers making a difference, let me bring you the story of Herbert Echampan. He is head teacher of the Ahmadiyya Islamic Basic School, Subri, in the Western region. Here's what he's done. Unlike many people, he decided to accept his fate, stay in the rural area, and not just do that, but make huge impact in that school. Watch this.
I've been teaching for the past 11 years. I was posted to at Tobiase on September 2012. That's when I started teaching.
So, what got you to decide that you wanted to become a teacher?
I didn't decide to become a teacher. I think I have been following my grandmom for my entire life when she used to be a teacher at Ghana Armed Forces. So while she was a teacher, I became a headmistress and also an officer in Armed Forces. I think that was when I started learning some of the skill. But personally, I had always wanted to be a journalist, as you know. Yeah, but along the line, somewhere in 2007, an unfortunate situation happened and I was compelled to wait at home for a while, maybe a year. But my grandmom didn't want that situation, so I was advised that I should go through the training college and see the outcome of it. But prior to that, I had already done a volunteer work with a particular school which I opted not to take salary.
Okay.
So my grandmom felt like, okay, I think it's okay for me to try it out and see how things will turn out to be, and here I am.
Okay. So, having been in it for more than a decade, if you had to decide to be a teacher again 10 years back, would you decide to be a teacher?
Oh no, I wouldn't. I feel like it's a good profession, noble as a lot of people will say, but it's not. It doesn't have enough financial benefits, and in most situations when you are not working in an urban environment, people in one way or the other have a disrespect towards it. And I feel as a nation we don't necessarily pay attention or give respect to teaching, but we find it to be a necessity. So in some few days or months ago, I was contemplating why we have a need for people to be providing such services, but we don't feel compelled enough to respect them and then pay them with the right amount of salary that they would deserve, or for them to probably do or work harder for the kind of outcomes that we've been expecting.
If you say they are not paid the right amount, what amount would be the right payment for these people?
Look, even for people on the rank of deputy, assistant director 2 or deputy director, are not earning more than 4,000 cedis. I don't know how much my district director is earning, but her deputy, I am not sure, is around 5,000 or 6,000. I doubt. And for you to be working for a long period of time, and in a month you are earning, or a young guy, you are earning around 3,000, even for an assistant director too. How much are you spending on family? How much are you spending on yourself? How much are you saving? When are you going to even build a house, buy a car, have a dream? Unless our reward is in heaven. It will be very difficult. And I feel, the single spine salary structure was a good initiative. But at the end of the day, I think as human beings would always be demanding more based on the economic situation that are available.
When you were posted here, there were so many issues with infrastructure,
yes.
But you've turned it around. Yes. Behind you, we see a very beautiful structure. We've seen the washroom that has also been built for the school.
Yes.
How did you do it? Someone who didn't want to become a teacher, but you became. How do you do it to do this?
Yeah, I think the first thing for me is being a volunteer, and my willing and my passion to help others, and mostly the less privileged. So when I was in secondary school, I was introduced to Curious Minds. And Curious Minds as a platform would make you as a young person be willing to explore, learn more about human rights and a whole lot of issues. And as part of Curious Minds, one other thing that we did as part of the project, which was initiated by Amos Kachipo and Felix, was the Curious Minds Basic School Development Project, whereby I think the first project we started at Sankorif my memory serves me right. So at Sanko, we're able to teach kids without necessarily being connected to them. So for my entire career, for the past 10 years, I've always felt like there's a need for a school to be properly managed, if not necessarily as an NGO, but as a social enterprise. So my passion as a volunteer working with Curious Minds, also working with Ghana Think Foundation, where young people are being encouraged to learn, explore, be willing to go through mentorship and capacity building, and doing the exception or things that are beyond what the ordinary is what is making me still feel like I need to be here and be able to make the impact that I'm making. Yeah.
So when you were brought to this school some 6 years, 7 years ago, and you saw the children studying under a shed, how did that make you feel?
I wasn't surprised because, well, there are other communities which were worse. Others even didn't have the shed. But I felt like, even with the JHS block that I was managing then, I wasn't happy about how the structure was because it was a mud. Get it? The structure that you see there is actually a mud, not a cement facility. But the lower primary shed, it was an eyesore. Most of the times when it rains, classes have to stop. And in this environment, it rains a lot. You get it? So, I mean, then I wasn't the head, but with conversations with the head teacher and then PT, SMC, and some of the community leadership, we had the intention of trying to fix that challenge. But in the past, I've also seen letters where previous community leaders made an attempt to resolve that issue, but it wasn't forthcoming. So I think that with the help of the mining community and some of the friends that I was able to make, we're able to step in and then see the necessity, especially the chief in Subri. Okay. I always had to visit him to discuss these matters with him to see how best we'll be able to resolve that. We have had support from NADBO, Wasa East, to reconstruct a new pavilion. Okay. And whilst doing that, we were able to get the support to get the 5 classroom block from Abosu Goldfields Daman. So, yeah.
How does that make you feel, as young as you are, seeing the sort of impact that you've made and you're still making in the school?
I'm happy for the kids because some of us, well, I attended services, Ghana Armed Forces School. So Intercradi, Navwest, services, even started from Air Force Complex. I mean, our environment was a bit okay as compared to the Chapel Hills and Ridge and Cool. But I mean, I had the privilege of being in such an environment, even though there were other armed forces schools that we as services felt like we were a bit more privileged than them. So for me, I think it was okay. But I was happy for the kids because for us, myself and my staff were willing to do more. Yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't say I've done so much or I wouldn't say I'm happy, but for me to be happy, I'm happy for them and then for the opportunities that they are getting. That's what I'm happy for, because in the future I would want to see them leave this environment and be happy and proud of the school that they attended as a basic school. And that is where personally my joy and my satisfaction would come from, basically.
How do you think your approach to the teaching profession has impacted in how or what you've done, what you've been able to do here?
My mindset, most especially as a head teacher, is to adopt a strategy of managing a school as an NGO, a social enterprise. Because we even hardly get financial support. If I quite remember, some of our capitation grant that used to come through the school was 140 cedis.
140 cedis?
Yes, 140 cedis. And even with that, you need to prepare school performance improvement plan by going to print copies and blah, 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 move it to the district office for authorization, etc. before you'll be able to cash that. So it was very difficult. So if not for the fact that we had that enterprise or that NGO strategy, things would have been a bit more difficult. The school is not really resourced, just like most schools in Ghana. but we've always found a way of saving money for the little project that we do. And also we've been able to bridge the gap between the school and the community, because in the past it wasn't there. And that's how I see the essence of most community schools, the community taking charge of their community, of their schools. Because I mean, government may not necessarily have to come in to solve most of your problems, but the community membership, the school community itself, PTA, SMC, should take charge and not necessarily rely on government to solve some of their problems. By doing so, I think that some of the kids will be able to have a very good learning experience, and some learning outcomes will be achieved without necessarily relying on 140 cities. But I mean, thank God we are very fortunate to be part of Ghana Accountability for Learning Outcome project, which is called Gallup. So we are part of Gallup School, so government gives us for the base grant, we are getting 1,500 cedis, no, 2,500 cedis, and then for we also get per capita grant based on the total number of enrollments or population we have in the school. So I mean, so it's a good thing.
Because I was going to ask you if you are getting 140 cedis as capitation grant.
So we are getting.
How are you able to save them?
We don't. We just accumulate the money, and then we save it towards a project that we think is a bit more achievable. So if teachers, because over here, because it's very mandatory for teachers to write their lesson notes, we save the money so that we'll be able to provide them the lesson notes to write themselves. And even when they buy, they have to get me receipt for me to refund the money to them. You get it? And we are very happy and excited that we're selected to be part of the Gallup School, because now we have enough money. It is not a big money, like probably 4,000, getting to 4,000 cedis. It's not a big money, but in a government setting and for a school like this, 4,000, 1,000 cedis, 2,000 cedis could make a lot of impact. Okay. You understand? My KG, for example, if you move there, they have a lot of toys to play with. You understand? We bought them alphabet puzzles, games, etc. If you were here on Friday, you would have seen some of the seniors, those in GHS playing drafts and Ludo, etc. These are some of the things that we try to provide the kids so that they'll be able to have an interest and keep coming to school. And a way of improving an enrollment drive and trying to sustain and improve the quality of education that we are supposed to achieve within the school.
How do you think we can retain people like you in the education sector to keep doing the positive things you're doing in the sector?
Yeah, I think for most people who are posted in the rural communities, I think the community should provide accommodation for the teachers. In this community, for example, myself, I'm paying 100 cedis a month accommodation. Someone in Accra will be like, oh, this is okay. But this is where I don't do any other business beside this. And they are taking 2 years in advance. It takes a lot of money from my pocket, you understand? The others who are even looking out for a much more better, safer kind of facility are paying as much as 200 cedis, which is quite costly. Things are very expensive here. So I would encourage that communities should be able to build bungalows for teachers so that they'll be able to stay in and retain them. Because the more teachers are retained in such communities, or people of my sort and caliber, the more some of these burdens are off, the more we'll be willing to stay and do more. I think government should also have a lot of training workshop courses for head teachers or teachers so that they'll be able to be trained to manage school properly and not mismanage them. You get it? So I mean, these are some of the ideas that I think that could actually help. I also feel like the older head teachers should not always be transferred to other places. The more we are able to keep some of the older folks around, I'm not those who are on pension, but in an environment where in a circuit or a district where there are a lot of experience or old teachers, they'll be able to have an impact on the younger ones to uphold the code and ethics of their profession. You get this? And I feel like as a teacher or as a head teacher, whoever that trains you as your head has a very huge impact in a profession or your career.
So it's heartbreaking that you say you want to leave the sector.
I would want to.
What will make you stay?
It's a very difficult question. What will make me stay? You know, teaching has always been a profession where we classify as a stepping stone, right? So anytime everybody has, or anybody has a different opportunity where conditions of service is apt, salary is good, we will all leave. Likewise myself. Personally, I am still in it because I still have the passion or the interest. I've been telling my district director and some of my officers I would want to be on transfer or I want to leave. At times I even tell them I want to quit. Most times I even tell them I think my job is done. I should be demoted as a head or I should be transferred to somewhere else. My services will be needed. Because ideally, this work is a headache. I would stay if condition of service is improved. 21st century, we are still teaching kids without resources. No textbooks. Governments have started providing textbooks, but it's still not adequate enough. Sometimes the textbooks are provided based on the previous year's data, enrollment data. So assuming that the previous year you give a data of maybe basic 4 kids are 20 and this time around you've improved the enrollment drive and they are now 40. They are bringing you 20 based on what you provided the last time. They have done well by providing, and that's why I said initially that parents should be able to step in and take accountability of their schools to make the work a bit more easier. In environments like this, I do not think that the parents can fully grasp the concept of education, but they should be well sensitized to understand the role that they need to play so that teachers will not suffer. Because it is difficult to be explaining concepts to kids who do not start school early. Force them to even speak the language, and they still can't. And they are competing with people who have been privileged and resourced and they are living in the cities. Maybe their parents are actually working harder to make sure they achieve whatever dream that or aspiration that they have. But if we want to achieve equity, equality and all that, I think that most schools should be leveled up. If you see the infrastructure at our champion school, our champion model, it's beautiful. I feel like most schools should be like that. Very good environment. In this school, we had to spend a week to even grow the grass and plant trees to make the place more greener. Clear a lot of bushes. Provide ties, paint those ties so that the kids will have a safe environment to be playing with.
Hello there, thank you so much for staying on the AM show. You can see I'm super excited and I can't wait to share that same joy with you. Let's talk about the Pop Chain Records Night 2023. And if you're a follower of the Pop Chain concert, you know that for some time now we've been raising funds for breast cancer screening and awareness. And today I've been joined by our very own Belay. He's with the Pop Chain Planning Committee. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. And pretty surely I'll be sharing with you why I'm so excited. And we've also got Dr. Nana Abuaje Asari. She is with the Lady Pharmacists Association of Ghana. And until recently, she was the chairperson of that association. We were just talking about how good Bila looks in pink. Fantastic, you look good. And we are breaking the stereotypes, aren't we?
Well, I mean,
yeah, real men wear pink.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, we try to support worthy causes.
Yeah, and let me say honestly that I mean, anytime I see men come on board, I mean, some of these things you usually would see it being spearheaded by women. Even in the world of medicine, you have more of the female doctors championing breast cancer issues. But when we see the men, then we know that there's concerted effort, right? Tell us about this initiative, Belay, to focus on breast cancer screening. It's not the first time you're doing this, but tell us why you're still doing it this year.
Well, as you know, breast cancer is a major disease happens in this country. And it's very important. You just touched on the point that you like that when men are supporting these things. What a lot of men also don't realize is the fact that men can also get breast cancer. It's not just for the women. So it cuts across both males and females. And one of the reasons why we are embarking on this is there's a lot of ignorance, especially in the less privileged members of our society, about cancer, and the importance of early detection is the key. So what we've been focused on since last, as you know, the previous 5 years, we did diabetes, and we realized that it's very important that we also touch on breast cancer. So last year we had an outreach where a number of findings were brought to bear, and we began to realize that this is an initiative that requires the support of all of us in society. There are people who are suffering disease and don't even know, and therefore it's important that we go about it. And that's the reason why we felt that we had to continue with this. And as you know, it is a 5-year initiative with the Rotary Club of Accra Airport there, and then also Joy 99.7, as well as some of our other partners and sponsors. And
talking about men having cancer, let me send a lot of love to my uncle, Abeku Arthur, who is a breast cancer survivor.
Whoa.
Yes, he actually survived breast cancer.
Thank
So
God.
yes, there are men who get breast cancer, and we must begin to talk about it, highlight it, and even show men how to do these tests for themselves. But Doc, let me come to you and find out. Thank you so much, first off, for partnering us to do this. But why is it so important that we focus on breast cancer, not only in the month of October, though, but I mean, it's just that to create the awareness, but why is it such a big deal?
Thank you very much for being here, and good morning to your viewers and your listeners. I think that it's important that we focus on breast cancer basically because it's something that can be preventable. It's something that we can manage, it's something that is treatable. And so when you have all those available activities that can be done, and you still see people dying, and in Ghana, our cases are just so dire. It's like women, the men, they come in at the very last stages because they are not aware there is even a possibility of having it to go so that you can actually be free from it. They are not aware that there are certain things that can be done. You can prevent it. Early detection means that when you see it early, there's a very high probability and a chance that you would survive. All those things are not that imbibed in us, in our culture, basically because of how we've shrouded certain diseases and certain illnesses, cancer and breast cancer being one of them. And so it is very important that even though we've made certain strides, we still continue to get this down, because the statistics we have shows that it is one of the leading causes of death in women is breast cancer, next being ovarian cancer. And these are cancers that have treatment. It's sad that something that we can't afford to treat goes unnoticed, goes unchecked, and then at the end of the day, we've lost lives, we've lost the wealth, the human wealth of Ghana, to diseases that can be prevented and treated.
And much later, Doc will be sharing with us the very basic tips on how you can detect breast cancer early. And don't forget that that's the goal, early detection.
Yes.
It's very important. And and we've been having a conversation even about the attitude of Ghanaians towards our general well-being. We just seem to leave things to later, don't we? I mean, we're just hoping that some magic will happen, you know.
Yes, and of course, because some of the things by culture, some of our things are not spoken around. I mean, I appreciate and I applaud you and your uncle for coming out and saying it. But I do know a lot of people that would not even mention that they've had typhoid because of how we see anybody that has an illness. So we need to get it in our system. We need to get it in our culture. We need to accept that health is key. And you can only get good health if you seek early treatment, if you seek, and for now, I mean, we are not saying just orthodox, but at least get the help that you need. There are so many other avenues that are legally and have been qualified
Exactly.
Pre-qualified.
That's an important
That's, yes, that have been pre-qualified. And there are so many of those centers in Ghana. Unfortunately, we do not have a cancer center yet. We are striving to get that. But the various places that we still have within our Ghana health service system can help. We just need to be able to move, go to those places, and as well speak up and create awareness. That is what this is all about.
Right. Billy, so Pop Chain is happening on the 28th, right?
Saturday, the 28th
All right.
of October.
But this year, we're taking it a notch higher. And this will interest young persons like me, because sometimes, when you have to identify with the Billy generation.
Well, how we grew, right?
It's a bit of a struggle for some of us. We can relate to a few of the songs, but some of them are just a bit,
out of
our reach, out of our league. So tell us, one, how this year is going to look like, and why everybody should be there. I mean, whether you're old school or young school and a lover of old school or whatever it is, we all have to be there.
Yeah. Okay, one of the things that we noticed from the previous Pop Chains that we had, where we had the live bands, was the fact that a lot of people really loved to dance. Now, we spoke to a number of people and got feedback, and there is quite an interest in hearing more of that era of music from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and even the 90s. There's a notion, a misplaced notion, that those of us of the older generation, we don't like modern music, and that's so far from the truth. So what we are doing this year is we are actually going to be giving our patrons the opportunity to have a real party. We're going to have a records night, and records night is something that we all had when we were in secondary school. So we'll be playing the old school, we'll play some high life, we'll play some R&B, we'll play some soul. And it's going to be a merger of great music that our generation and others are going to enjoy. So as a result of this thought process, we are going to hold the event at the Gold Coast restaurant, which is behind the police headquarters.
Okay.
It's a big venue with a big dance floor, and people can come have a fantastic time. And what's going to happen this year is we are still following the concept of the competition amongst the schools like we did with the bands.
Okay.
So this year, it's going to be the DJs from the various old schools who are going to come together. So Andy Dusty is going to be presenting Prempre and the Prempre girls. Then you have Lexus Bill, who is a pre-second, an Odadia, and their girls are Iburi girls.
Okay.
Then you have got Doreen Ando, who is representing St. Roses and Holy Child. She's the only female DJ there. And then myself from Infants, obviously our girls are Wesley girls. So we are going to have a battle of the
Hey,
DJs.
where's my school?
I was even
Where's your
surprised.
school?
Why is Doreen not representing the men, St. Peter's as well as St. Rose's?
Well,
and
Where's
school, as well as
don't we have a DJ from Addis school?
Well, you better ask them.
Infantiman girls. Okay, don't worry, we'll discuss it
later. No, but the bottom line is we are going to, and we're doing all this free because it's our way of contributing towards the worthy cause of creating awareness.
Right.
So the DJs are going to come together. We're going to go have a head-to-head. And it's all within the concept of entertaining our guests and making sure they have a good time. And to actually encourage people to make the necessary donations and support, either in kind or in cash, to help the less privileged in society who are suffering from breast cancer awareness.
And I think beyond the tickets we are paying for the event, which is a cool 150 cedis.
150 cedis, that's correct.
I think that the schools can come together and make group contributions. I think that will be fantastic.
Absolutely.
So beyond the competition, maybe because you don't have Addisco and Infantsman represented, I don't want to use it. Maybe University girls can say we are bringing this to support.
Yes.
Until you find me a DJ.
Why don't you look for one and come and join?
Okay, Infantsman girls and our disco boys, please let's find a DJ and
join. Enjoy.
But Doc, before we go, sorry, Billy, I know you have to rush to radio, so we need to be snappy about it. But I just want you to help women.
Okay.
Anybody watching who can help in detecting what are the things we are looking out for?
Okay. All right. So in detecting breast cancer, there could be some people who do not have any symptom at all, but they do have the disease. And so I would want to encourage all women in Ghana to use this month of October. There are a lot of facilities, health facilities that are doing free screening, and some are having certain discounts on breast scans and mammograms to take that opportunity. However, when you can do yours, you can also detect certain things on the change in the shape of your breast, the texture of your breast. There may be some discharge or something coming out of your nipple. Sometimes even how the nipple looks. Everybody kind of knows how your breast normally looks like. So when there's any change, there's a rash, you feel it, there's a hard lump. You feel it, you feel the texture is not too right. The skin color has changed just on your breast. Even how the size looks like. You know how your size, and then sometimes you look at it and you feel that especially when you bend, there's supposed to be a particular way. You bend and then you realize that the two are not, it's looking odd. Don't just take it as something and it would go.
Or don't take it like it's a menopausal
symptom.
Symptom. Because sometimes, because women, we go through a lot.
We go through
childbirth, breastfeeding.
Don't take
and so you may assume that, maybe because I'm breastfeeding, you just want to be intuitive and follow your instincts. Yes. But Doc, I just need us to clarify this. Yeah. Every woman has some mass in the breast already.
Yes.
That feels like a lump, right? Yes. That's not what we're talking about. Good.
What we are talking about is a hard lump. Okay. Sometimes it's immobile. The one you feel in your breast naturally, when you move your breast, it moves along with it.
Yes.
This one doesn't. It stays in a particular way. So, and sometimes even the lump we are even talking about could not necessarily be in your breast, because the breast tissue actually starts from under our armpit. So sometimes it's not here, it's here.
Yeah.
But
so
then
you feel
it's
a
lump in your armpit because it comes all the way down. So when you're doing the examination, we actually start from our armpit area all the way down, because sometimes the lump could be notched there. Okay. So we are looking at a hard lump, but it is not always a lump. So let us also not be too focused on the lump. It could be a discharge from your nipple. It could be just how you see sometimes your nipple can just suck in.
Yeah.
That could be a sign.
Anything abnormal.
And anything abnormal that you feel around your breast, please get it checked. But since there is also a possibility that you could not feel anything at all, let's use this month and check. Most clinics in Ghana are doing it for free anyway. So let's use that opportunity to get a check.
Thank you so much. I wish we could talk more. Hopefully we can do something again.
Yes.
It's just for the breast cancer awareness, because it's important we do all these things. Thank you so much. Bilal, do you have something to say?
No, I'll just say to all our guests is the fact that keep that date in your diary, 28th October. It's going to be an amazing night of music and entertainment. And we look forward to seeing you at the Gold Coast Restaurant. Pop Chain Records Night, the first time we're doing it. Something different. It's going to be something exciting.
I like that. Something different. Okay.
Exactly.
And just before we go on this, and I'd just like to say, you can only know if your breast is looking abnormal if you take time to know what it looks like. And I think that's something we don't do often. We don't look at ourselves in the mirror. We don't study our own bodies. So if there's a change, a lot of people can tell. So, that's just by the way. So thank you so much, Dr. Nana Boaja-Sare. She's a pharmacist with the Lady Pharmacists Association of Ghana. She just wanted me to put that there. She's not a medical doctor. Don't mistaken. And Bilal is our very own. Bilal, thank you so much for doing this. And all our love to the Pop Chain Committee.
Thank you so much
for doing this.
Thanks for helping out.
All right, on the 28th, we will be there at the Gold Coast Restaurant in Cantonments, just behind the police headquarters, raising funds for breast cancer screening and breast cancer awareness. I have to let them go. I don't want to, but I have to. So I'll be back with more. Do stay.
Other schools that they should prepare.
They should prepare.
Prepare to be sick of us. Our molecules are moving very fast. Effective collision.
You're what?
Molecules, they are just colliding. Kinetic energy. Hey, too much.
The other school should fear. You are just going to collide.
They should just go back because their collision is not effective. It won't be effective this year. They should prepare.
What? Perfect, effective, or inelastic?
It will be inelastic.
My foot. I be you, Masam. Say, wanna beba, you slow.
National Science and Maths quiz is on. I'm excited. The prelims begin tomorrow. The schools have started arriving. Jacqueline is in Kumasi for us, and she'll be bringing us all the updates. But it's now time for me to share with you some good news from sponsors of Primetime Limited, producers of the National Science and Maths quiz. And did you know that it's actually the 30th edition? Been so many years doing this, and I've been joined by Joshua Oyelele. I hope I got it right. He's acting marketing lead in Ghana. I've been practicing it, and consumer connections manager in Nigeria for Accra Breweries Limited. Hello, Joshua.
Hello.
SSA.
Such a pleasure.
I caught you there, but hey, I mean, thank you so much for supporting Primetime Limited to bring us the National Science and Maths quiz. And you are a beverage producer, obviously. What's the motivation? Why are you interested in a science and maths quiz? Are we now going to be finding recipes for the next products for ABL? I mean, I just want to know what your interest basically is in the NSMQ.
And yeah, I think you caught it right on the spot. We're keen on innovation. We're keen on inspiring the next generation. That's a big agenda for us as Better Malt. And as a brand, our positioning is around empowerment. Wow. So you find us doing a lot of things around empowering students, empowering people in different walks of life, you know, even from our staff to our customers, all the way through to our consumers. So every opportunity we find, you know, to drive that agenda of empowerment for our brand so we can continue to differentiate ourselves along those lines, we always go for it. And that is why we've come to partner with NSMQ again this time.
Fantastic. So, I mean, you will be seeing a lot of the students drinking Better Malt and all, but I just think that it's a good opportunity for us to talk about even the nutritional value of Better Malt. Because I'm looking at students and studying and needing all the energy, and what does Better Malt have to offer in that regard?
That's a great one. For us, we pride ourselves in the great quality that we come with in terms of the product. Better Malt is the product where you would find, it's one of the very few malts you'll find that has 100% true malt content. So it is true in its nature of pure malt. So if you taste it, and of course you compare with the other brands, you would see that it is uniquely different. In terms of that, we are also making sure that we drive the message around the fact that we contain some very good nutritional benefits, such as the vitamin C. So Better Malt contains vitamin C, and that's something you hardly find in any other malt, along with various other vitamin Bs and Ds, and vitamin A as well, which is very nutritional for our kids as they're growing up. It helps nourish them, you know, and our key message now is enrich your nourishness. Yes, so we're keen on making sure that we drive that message on nourishing yourselves as you go about your daily lives, and as you go about, of course, making sure that you're up to date on your studies. For the kids, it's important for them to have a sharp brain, have sharp minds, and have their minds well nourished with a good product like ours, and that's what we offer in that sense of vitamins and nourishment.
And so if you're looking for nourishment for your kids or a snack, Better Malt is a good option, yeah? Absolutely. So tell us what the strategic vision is for you in terms of STEM education, obviously looking at the NSMQ in perspective.
Absolutely, great one. So for us, STEM, I mean, it's science, it's technology, it's engineering, and it's math. And we understand the importance of these four pillars to the development of children, especially as they go through from secondary school into tertiary, all the way even from primary. So it's very important for us to support initiatives that help build the ambition of children and students around innovation. So if you would check, we have other initiatives also that are similar to this that we are also partnering with. There's the Upcycling Challenge, where we encourage kids, junior secondary school kids, to go out there and get plastic waste. So they collect this plastic waste. And the second step is now, what can they do with this plastic waste? So they come up with innovative ideas of stuff that they can do that can make that plastic waste be useful, and re-engineer and repurpose those plastic waste products into stuff that will be useful for themselves and the general population. So that's one of the things that we're doing along those lines. As I mentioned earlier, our strategy is big on empowerment. So every opportunity we have to make sure that we're empowering kids, supporting them in the likes of technology and innovation to take advantage of those opportunities, we always see how we push and support them. And it's about the next generation. It's about how we really support them to achieve and aim for their dreams. And we know how tough it is right now with the proliferation of different type of content, which may not be particularly good for these kids, which are circulating in the space. So it's important that we always support initiatives that are keen towards getting them to the right space of getting their minds sharp and focused on what exactly is ahead of them for the kids. So,
that's fantastic. So, I mean, I just want to put you on the spot here. What's your favorite part of the NSMQ?
Oh, wow, that's a good one. For me, I like the finales. I think that's when there's a lot of excitement. Yeah, I saw from the videos, it's a lot, it's a whole fanfare.
Yeah.
So even on social media, you find that old school students are getting involved. The kids are dancing and jiving and supporting their fellow kids. But even from the quarterfinal stages, I think it even gets even more heated and intense from them. So I think it's a whole lot to look forward to. I'm really excited about this season, and we can't wait to see what
So any special offerings from Better Mold for the students, any special prize packages? Because I know that this year is quite heavy on that. The organizers want to, at every level in the competition, be offering some incentives, to keep it competitive, because like you said, at some of the levels you're just waiting to go to the next level. But when you're nearing the quarterfinal, that you're within reach of the trophy. But the organizers want to make it more competitive. So what are the offerings from Better Mold?
So I think for us as advertisers, sponsors, that's a big role for us. We need to see how we encourage and inspire these kids with the products that we have. So you're going to find a lot of that, of course, on the event, and we're going to be rewarding the kids with a lot of our products. At the same time, we have a lot of good and fantastic goodies in stock. Just stay on the lookout and you'll find out.
Okay. So, I mean, I know you intend to keep this partnership, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a long-term vision of Better Mold, because you just told us about the other initiatives that feed into the whole STEM concept, education, science and maths. But really, what's the big goal for you as you do this? Because there's an end game, right? So even as you invest monies and all these things into all these projects, what do you hope it culminates in?
Honestly, we want the image of our brand out there to remain as the brand that empowers. And once we are constantly able to achieve that from a marketing perspective, I think we are winning. Our job is to make sure we are shaping the brand image and we're driving that in the direction that would help us yield positive gains and growth for the brand on the long run. Of course, we're in business to sell, so we're not here to joke. We want to drive positivity, growth for our brand, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we're supporting causes that are authentic to us as a brand. And we're making sure also that we're supporting this next generation, as we believe very strongly that they are the future. Right, and that's why this is a very big ambition for us, and we'll continue to support initiatives like this.
I'm gonna put you on the spot again.
Yeah.
Which schools are you rooting for?
That's a tough one. I don't want to let that out.
That's okay. I knew you were not going to answer that, but thank you so much, Joshua. We really appreciate this, obviously, because for us here at Joe News, we've been doing this with Prime Time for a long time, and you're not only sponsoring the organization, you're also sponsoring the broadcast of it. So thank you so much. We appreciate what you do. And like I said, don't forget, if you're looking for healthy snacks for your kids, Better Malt is packed with all the vitamins that you need, and you just want to support them, because when you support Better Malt, then Better Malt has the capacity to support Prime Time and Joe News to bring you the National Science and Maths quiz that you so dearly love. But let me cross over now to Kumasi. Let's go to KNUST, where Emmanuel Bright-Kweku is standing by for us. And it's just the eve of the prelims, Emmanuel. I can imagine the atmosphere is already getting charged, isn't it?
Talking about the National Science and Math Quiz. This is where you get all the updates pertaining this year's competition. But this year I will not be doing it alone. I have my ever-ravishing Jacqueline and Sumayebwa with me to do all the conversation about this year's National Science and Math Quiz. Jacqueline, good morning.
Good morning to you and our lovely listeners this morning.
How do you feel at the moment? I know so far you have been interacting with the schools since Tuesday, Wednesday, and then today being Thursday. How has it been for you?
Well, it's been amazing getting to have a conversation with them. And one thing I realized is that we have like different types of schools here. Some of them are just waiting to be seated. Some of them would want to get the enviable crown that is being crowned the National Science and Math Quiz winner for this year. That's the 30th edition. And some of them just want to pass through the phase. Maybe, well, we just want to come to the National Science and Math Quiz to have a feel of it. So those are the different types of schools that I've been engaging with for the past few days. Yeah.
Okay. So just so you know, the preliminary stage of this year's competition is starting tomorrow. That's Friday all through to Monday. We are having some 117 schools, including three-time champion St. Peter's SHS, Wesley Girls High School, Achimota School, and St. Thomas Aquinas School, and some couple of others starting all the way. They have to start their campaign from this particular stage. But you have been interacting with St. Peter's, and I think they've been telling you some stuff. Can you share with us?
Yeah, so yesterday we had a lengthy conversation, but in all, during the regionals, they got knocked out by Pope John's, and what they revealed to me was that they didn't really expect that. They didn't expect to be taken down easily like that. So moving forward, they are not going to belittle any school, and they will just look forward to give them quite a fair contest. But this time around, they wouldn't take any defeat. That's what they said.
They are not taking it because it's been quite. I actually sat through that contest, and St. Peter's, they were leading, and all of a sudden Pope John's out of nowhere even came to beat them, and I think Ebuakwa State College also even inched closer.
That was because they were not expecting it. So in their exact words, they thought they see Pope John's to be their kids. That was what they said. So moving forward, they wouldn't belittle any other school that they face ahead of the contest. Yeah.
Okay, so that's my colleague Jacqueline Ansumash. I have been interacting with her regarding some of the schools' arrival, but I will try and speak with the organizers for this year's National Science and Maths Quiz. I'm talking about Prime Time Limited all these years, and let me remind you that this is the 30th anniversary of the National Science and Maths Quiz since its inception in 1993. We've had all the fun and excitement, and Mr. Ajo right here has been the man, I would say he's part of the team, giving us all the excitement all these years. Mr. Ajo, I want you to explain to us, you started from 1993. How has the journey been so far?
Well, thank you for having me. It's been an interesting and eventful journey. Naturally, in the scheme of things, there are always ups and downs. But I want to say that the ups have outweighed the lows, because we've made an impact on the lives of the students and the lives of the schools. Here to you have schools not getting the kind of support they would receive from their old students, but then because of the National Science and Maths Quiz, all the schools naturally who are part of the NSMQ have received or continue to receive massive support and encouragement from their old students. So I believe that we have made an impact on the lives of the students as well. Most of them, a lot of them are also always out of the country pursuing various courses and pursuing their education, and therefore come back with us scientists for that matter. So we are trying to develop the future scientists for this country, and I'm sure that we have made a solid impact on the lives of the students and the schools as well.
Okay, this is the 30th anniversary. Is there anything special about this year's competition? Is there any prizes or something that's going to happen?
Well, there are a lot of prizes at stake. Apart from the normal prizes, and then the prizes on the program, like the Gold Reader Bonanza. Now, from this year, at the quarterfinal stage, we are having the Super Bonanza, also from Goa. It's a special award for all the schools, especially those who win riddles at the last round. If you win one, you're able to get something 2 or 3 or 4. So it's a Super Bonanza from Goa PLC. Then we have the Prudential Life NSMQ Star. We have the Tatigo High Scorer of the Day. And then we have the other awards. The new award that I'd want to mention now, it's the Elsa Kaufman Award. It's for the the highest runner-up. We are rewarding the school with who was the runner-up in the competition, and therefore has made to make a great stride, and therefore make it at the top. So that's the new award in the competition this year. It's exciting. The people have all, should I say, accepted the fact that, look, this is something that they wish to be part of and for who they are part of it. So it's a privilege to be part of the NSMQ, especially in this time of the 30th anniversary of the program.
Okay. I know this is something that will encourage these schools when you leave, let's say you lose your chances and then you are brought back and make a particular statement in the competition. I understand there's also another prize, that is the Double Champion Award. Can you give us more insight into that? Yeah, so again, that's one of the new things added. It's a good energy. The Good Energy Double Champion, also sponsored by Gore. So we have schools who, during the regional championship, are able to win. So if you win the regional championship, if you won this year, it means that you have opportunity of winning the Good Energy Double Champion prize. That is, if you're able to win the regional championship and then win the national championship, it means it's a double. So therefore, it gives you the opportunity to win that attractive prize. So that's the Good Energy Double Champion Award. Okay, Mr. Ajo, just before I leave you, are we ready for this year's competition? Is everything set? Is everything, the stage, the bells especially, is everything set? Yes, everything is set. For us at Prime Time, organizer of the National Science and Maths, we have a slogan. We say that the impossible we do at once, but miracles take a little longer. And therefore, irrespective of the challenges, the difficulties that we go through, we are sure that we put everything in place to have a successful national championship. So right from the word go that from tomorrow, people are going to experience something that they've never experienced before. Definitely. We are going to experience all the heartbreaks. So I've been interacting with Mr. Ajo, who is with the Prime Time, the organizers of the National Science and Math Quiz. I have some schools right here with me. We want to do a quick interaction. Guys, where are you coming from? Which school are you?
Koforidia Sector.
Okay, Koforidia Senior High School. So let me find out. During the regionals or the championship, you met Pope John's, and unfortunately, they kicked you out. How was the experience for you?
Oh, it was very sad.
It was sad?
Yeah.
Why? You were not expecting it?
No, we weren't expecting that, but all the same, glory be to God.
Glory be to God. You are right here. The nationals is what matters. Yeah. So let me find out from you, how has preparations been? I understand you guys have been burning the midnight candle, rushing for the bells and what have you. How has the preparation been? Let me find out from you.
Oh, it's not easy. Like, yeah, when you are learning, it entails a lot. So we are making our best to put out our best in the nationals. Thank you.
Okay, so do you have any expectations for any of the schools? You know, National Science and Maths Quiz is all about you proving out there. Do you have any school you are targeting for this year's National Science and Maths Quiz, or you are not all your match?
Oh, I won't say that per se, but at the end of the day, it's a competition, and definitely a school is going to win, and we are hoping to be that school that is going to win it this year.
And that will be the first time you've won it?
Yes, please.
How will you feel when you win it?
Oh, very excited.
All right, sure. So those are some students from Kumasi, Koforidia Secondary Technical School. But I want to find out, there's another school, Bumprugu Senior High School. I quite remember during my regional tour across the country to bring you updates on the National Science and Maths Quiz, I met some 4 boys who did marvelous things on the stage, and they are right here with me. Welcome. I miss you. Do you miss me?
Yeah, I've missed you too.
All right, so let me find out from you. How was the journey? You are traveling on the way from Bumprugu to this Kumasi. How was the journey?
Yeah, the journey was kind of stressful, to be honest, because the road to that place and the distance is not something easy. And because of the terrain there too, passing through those rocks, it's not something easy, but I'm thankful we arrived here safely.
Okay, it's been exciting for you, the journey. But let me find, I think one of you told me when they come to Kumasi for the very first time, they'll be glad. And you are here. Let me find out from you. How do you feel coming to Kumasi? It's a new place to you all.
Yes.
Well, let me put it this way. This is a city to you all.
Yes, please.
How do you feel at the moment?
I feel happy. Because this journey was very stressful, although, but God will made it through. And we are glad to be here to do our contest and see if God can help us through it.
Do it, definitely. When I met you, you were only 4 boys. I think I've seen some ladies. Ladies, come in front for me. How do you feel at the moment? Your boys have brought you to the national championship. How do you feel?
I feel excited. I came and saw many things that I have never seen before.
What are some of the things? Can you share with us?
Like storyboarding, like that.
Really? But you've not seen any?
I've never seen it, but this one I cannot even.
Interesting. So you've not seen a giant, like a skyscraper or something, like a huge building like this before?
Yes.
Why in your place? What do you have there?
We're having storyboarding, but that storyboarding is not nicer than this one.
It's not nicer. Okay, sure. Let me also find out from you. You are in Kumasi. How do you feel at the moment?
I feel very excited. Everything is good, going on well here. I feel very good and excited.
Is it your first time here also?
Yeah, as for Kumasi, I've been here before, but this is my first time of entering this place.
And then how do you find the environment?
The environment is very cool. Everything is very neat. The environment is clean. Everything is cool over here. We are very happy to be here.
Okay. So just before I let you go, what should we expect from Bumprugu Senior High School? You did marvelous things when I came to North. What should we expect from you? You are at the national stage.
Like I said before, you should expect the very best from us. We are here, we are not discriminating any schools. We are just coming to compete and aim for the nationals. And if God helps us through and we get the trophy, it will be something else because from the whole of Northern Zone, no school has won it before, so it will be a prestigious thing to win it.
So if you win it this year, what is going to happen in your town?
Well, it's going to be a source of joy because, like, you know, when everybody hears that Bumprugu has won it for the first time in the whole of the Northern Zone, it's going to be some kind of excitement because Bumprugu seems like a village or some lone place, but it's going to bring development to the place in general. So let's pray and hope things go as expected.
All right, sure. So that's the students from Bumprugu Senior High School, and they've been telling me when they win the national championship, it's going to be the first time the Northern Zone, any school from the Northern Zone has won the National Science and Math Quiz, and they are hoping to clinch that particular title. But I have my colleague Jacqueline right here with me. Jacqueline, I want to find out from you, what has been happening so far? I know you have some schools around to interact with. What's been happening? Take us through them.
All right, so I have with me students from Konfanochi Senior High School, and these are Form 2 students. They are actually not contestants. They are here to witness the whole procedure as to how the quiz is being contested. How are you?
I'm fine.
All right, so you've been here for 3 days now. How has it been for you?
It's been good.
It's been good. What have you learned so far?
Learned many things from my senior colleagues. They've taught me some tricks, and they've taught me how to be active on the stage.
Okay, and what about you two? What about you two?
Yeah, I've learned a lot of things, how to fight against my stage fight and all those stuff. So we are expecting them to do a lot of good things here.
Okay, all right. Now your school has never been seeded before. Do you think this year is going to change?
Yeah, as long as we have qualified these regionals, we are expecting spectacular things from them. We are going to be seeded. We are going to the semi-finals. Actually, we are going to the finals.
So you are taking away the bragging right this year?
Yeah, because this year is like the sky has changed. This year we have qualified the regionals for the first time. We haven't qualified the regionals before. We have qualified the regionals and we are expecting to be seeded. We are not. This is the first and last time we are going for the regionals. We are never. If we are going for the regionals, it will be for the regional championship. We are not going for the regionals. We are going to be seeded.
So. Right. So she is going to be seated. That is Hare West, student from Konfanoche Senior High School. So I have some students here who are all the way from Takrade and Bompe Secondary Tech School. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm fine.
How are you feeling? The mood here, how is it like for you?
Oh, it's good. It's good. We are feeling happy. We are excited to even qualify because last year we couldn't because Adembra kicked us out. And this year, we are trying, so at least we must be seeded. Yes.
All right. What schools are you meeting with in the preliminary stage?
We are meeting Anlo SHS and then Kranse SHTS.
Okay. Now, do you see any of those schools as a threat?
Not quite. Not really. Not really.
Your answer is like not really. You don't see?
I'm very sure that we are making it through.
All right. Now, apart from the schools that you are meeting in the preliminary contest, because after that you might probably meet other schools, do you see any of the other schools as threats?
Not really, because in everything we start with God and we shall end with God. So as far as God is with us, we'll sail through.
Before I end, how well are you prepared for the contest ahead?
Oh, we are prepared. Though yesterday when we arrived, we were tired, but we did some preparations towards, because tomorrow we have a contest, and so I'm sure we are prepared.
Well, they are prepared. These are students from Bompez Secondary Tech Senior High School. So we are still here at Brunei Complex, right inside Kwame University.
And it's time for me to say goodbye, but the team is still in Kumasi. We'll be bringing you all the updates on NSMQ 2023. And the 2023 National Science and Maths Quiz is produced by Primetime Limited and sponsored by the Ghana Education Service in partnership with Goyle PLC and supported by AT, Prudential Life Insurance Ghana, Pepsodent, Bettermalt, APSA, Accra College of Medicine, Academic City University College, Coronation Insurance, Garnet, Cowbell, Bell Aqua, Newmont, GTP, and YFM. The broadcast of the National Science and Maths Quiz on Joy News and Joy Prime is supported by Vitamilk, NASCO, German Ozone Medical Center, Royal Foam, Juma Soap Heritage Christian College, Virtual Security Africa, Ace Medical Insurance, Chopbox Technologies, Syntex Tank, DBS Build, Financial Technologies, Bettermalt, and the Family Health University College. Now, NSMQ is celebrating its 30th anniversary, so you want to stay with us as we bring you the very best of coverage for this year's edition. And that's how we say goodbye to you this morning. Thank you so much for your company, but do stay with us. We are your most credible news source. I am Bernice Abubedu Lansa. Up next is News Desk.